Okay, everything's good. Everything's good. Bump, bottom, 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 bump, ba da 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 da. Let me do this. Okay. Perfect, 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 perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Oh, I forgot I saved right where you were. Hello, Lord Van Zeeks. How you been, buddy? Hope you been good. You seem to be doing fine. Hi, hi. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, we're dealing with this. I'm ready as I'm ever gonna be. It was excellent time for once. Wow. Excuse you, I'm on time more often than not, thank you. I probably gotta scooch over just a little bit. Hello, 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 hello. Alright. If you have such... What the frick? Trenchant? Me? I've been good. Been good. Just existing. We just move on day by day. Making the human currency, as it's called. If you have such a trenchant argument up your sleeve, why in the world did you not proffer it during the summonation examination? Okay, that works. I wanted to give this young foreign student the sightseeing experience he no doubt came for. I wanted him to see for himself how the opinions of the jury are so readily swayed. I think we knew that before. This is round 2, buddy. We've been through this already. But my hospitality has its limits, and they have been reached, I feel. And the cape is off. So, my learned friend, today's sightseeing tour of London is now over. Oh boy. What are you talking about? It is worth a lot by your standards. It's important in the modern time, so yeah, it's kind of important. My lord. The prosecution requests permission to call its next witnesses to the stand. Hello, 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 hello. Granted, bailiff, bring forth the witnesses. It's next witnesses? Mr. Naruto, do you not remember? We've been told on several occasions that there were eyewitnesses to the incident. Yeah, policeman and his wife. Because when I was getting my thumbnail for this thing, I was trying to remember. I was like, oh, those guys that we never saw. Yes, I remember one of them being a Scotland Yard policeman, no less. I'm afraid that's likely to be the prosecution's next witness. Alright, no matter who Van Zeeks brings to the stand as his witnesses, and no matter what they say. I believe in Soseki-san. I know he's innocent. And I'll keep believing to the very end, until this battle is over. Good job, Ryunosuke! No, I have not. Been busy. I need to write down the name or I'll forget. What is it? Nope. D-A-I-M-A. Okay, there we go. It's written down. Written down. So I can look at that tomorrow. Witnesses, please state your name and occupation for the court. As I said in my title, these are the witnesses that saw this? This guy was the one who saw everything? You sure it wasn't the wife? By the way, they're wearing matching scarves. That is cute. Oh! Oh boy. I see who is the, dominant one in the family. This is a vampire. Yeah. Constable Roy Beat saw. Nothing to report on the streets, saw. Yep, it is. Oh boy. Well, if he's working all the time, I wouldn't be surprised he's tired, but why would you... Why?
And I'm Mrs. Beat. Patricia's my name. I'm proud to say I'm this young town's hero's wife.
What's the story here?
Well, in truth, we've not been married long. In fact, we've celebrated our first anniversary on the other day.
I guess. It's just more like... I'm more surprised if he's this tired. How did they get married? How did they date? If he's this exhausted now. And why is his hat all beaten up? No, it was your husband I was asking about. He seems tired. It's kind of long. It is a long time in modern human standards in some people, for whatever reason. The stereo? What do you mean?
Hardly surprising. Whilst being an honorable occupation, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world.
Oh, really? I'm sure I've heard that before, actually.
Indeed, apart from rare days off, our gallant officers trudge some 20 miles a day, you know.
The people. One is tired, the other one takes care of them. That's probably their stereotype. Maybe? I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm wondering how they ended up dating and then got married. Because he sleeps most of the time and only has rare days off. So how did he meet her? That's my question.
They patrol boardhouses and pubs, collect taxes, survey the streets, check that meters are reading true, and they're responsible for keeping the streets clean and lighting and extinguishing our street lights.
There's a number of items on the list that don't sound much like policing duties at all.
I wouldn't just be falling asleep at my feet. I'd have collapsed long ago. I guess.
But it goes without saying that a policeman's primary duty is the apprehension of criminals. When he's off duty, a constable is expected to investigate and resolve any crimes on his beat. For the London, Bobby is a man of honor.
Maybe. Maybe she finds that attractive. I don't know. I'm just curious, that's all. And a man of slumber. This is probably his day off, the poor guy, and he has to be in court.
On the day in question, this man and his wife were walking down Briar Road in the opposite direction, and they witnessed the incident as it occurred. Is that not correct, Mr. and Mrs. Beat? That's right, sir. Isn't it, Raleigh?
Constable Roy Beat, sir. Nothing to report on the street, sir.
What a great witness he's going to be.
Very good. I'd like to hear your formal testimonies now, please. You will tell the court exactly what you saw on the afternoon of the incident.
Yes, sir. I thought he was just gonna collapse for a minute. It's like we haven't even heard the testimony. What the witnesses saw.
It was our wedding anniversary, and Rolly was taking me out for a meal. There was no time to change after work. Anyway, two silhouettes appeared out of the fog on the pavement in front of us. All of a sudden, one of them just collapsed on the floor. Then the other scattered something before running off. We ran straight over, of course, and then went for help at a nearby police box. It was definitely that Japanese man in the dock. Rolly and I both saw him as clear as day.
Well, we heard nothing from the constable. I thought he was the one who saw it. I guess she only saw. Was she dragging him with the frickin' scarf? And he was still asleep? Are we gonna hear anything from Rolly?
Well, this is extremely compelling testimony, I must say.
Oh dear, this policeman and his wife are claiming to have positively identified Mr. Natsume at the scene. If their testimony is true, the alternative course of events that you establish in the summontation examination will be squashed. It's death knell, in fact, because that alternative was never viable in the first place.
You're too narrow-minded, Van Zeeks. We've barely begun.
What an unfortunate chancing, and on your wedding anniversary, too.
Why were they out so late on their anniversary, though?
Oh, I know, but I still managed to go out for the evening with my man. I thank the Lord for that. Gosh, the life of a London puppy sounds very hard indeed.
Yeah, I hope he gets paid really frickin' good money. Like, really good money. But based on how him and his wife's attire, it doesn't look like he gets paid enough. Like, her bow has patches on it, and his hat is all dented. So does he get paid enough money? A devoted London Bobby who witnessed the incident whilst walking down the street with his wife of a year, Patricia. The wife of Constable Roy Beat, who is a witness to the incident. She's relatively recently married and fiercely proud of her policeman husband. I mean, people were bored. They didn't have much else to do all day. Maybe that's what it is. They used everything up for marriage. That is also true. I'm just curious, because I would hope that since he's doing all of these hours and all of these things, that he would be paid a lot. But they look to be in not a great condition.
Indeed, however, this cross-examination will be over in minutes. You may well have time to rest this afternoon.
What do you mean by that?
My learned friend, the witnesses saw the face of the man fleeing the scene. They are testifying under oath that it was, without a doubt, the accused, Mr. Sozeki Natsume.
He has a 9 to 5 to 9 shift. He never sleeps. How is he still? Wasteful tradition. Everything for marriage, yes. That is kind of wasteful. But we don't know if that was all that happened. They haven't said anything.
And one of those witnesses is a policeman, no less. So you appreciate the gravity of the situation, I'm sure.
The policeman has not said anything. His wife has said everything. He just said nothing to report, sir, and went back to sleep. That's about it. Oh boy. Except that the man's so tired, his wife has to do all this talking.
Enough preamble. Counsel for the defense. Commence the cross-examination, please.
Yes, my lord. All right. It's a guess, but I don't think I'm too far off. You might not be. We'll find out. Maybe that will tell us. I'm assuming that she has maybe something to do with this incident and why I think that. is based on... just based on the court record and how it talks about... her being so proud of her husband, just seems very interesting. That's all. It was our wedding, he was taking me, there was no time to change. No time to change after work, you say. Are you also a member of the police, Mrs. Beat?
Oh no, sadly not. It's a job for strapping young men only. Women, children, and the elderly can't even apply.
That's stupid. Obviously, I know it was during back then, but it's still stupid. So we're gonna have to wait for him to react to something. Maybe. Yeah, we're just doing speculation and theories at this point. We don't know anything yet. Well, I think you can probably see why children and the elderly can't do the job, can't you? Well, yes, one is child labor and the other one, I don't think they could do freaking so many miles a day.
I think Roy looks ever so handsome in his uniform. It suits you down the ground.
What? It suits you down the ground, doesn't it? Huh? That sentence doesn't feel right. After this is hard, buddy. Yeah.
What? I just finished my beat. Pat and I were heading back to the station. I was actually planning on getting changed there.
Is he talking in his sleep? This is creepy. Yes, it is, Ryanosuke.
Oh no, Rolly, I much prefer you in uniform. Sometimes, I don't recognize you when I see you in plain clothes.
That's suspicious.
Oh dear, that doesn't seem healthy.
So she likes a man of authority, I guess. Oh boy, we're learning a lot about this marriage already.
Kindly adhere to the point. You were going for a meal after you had finished your beat for the day, correct?
That's right, sir, yes. Although, I was fit to drop, to be honest. After spending the whole day on my feet. The police is my life, sir, and as long as I'm the proud owner of this, I shall serve my city and my queen to the end. Metropolitan Police... It starts with a W. I'm trying to read this thing. Something card. Hopefully. Warrant card? I think that's what that says. What's that now? My warrant. Well, I got it correct. My warrant card, sir, proof that I'm a London copper. It is the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty to patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. Sir, and for such a noble cause, I cover 20 miles every single day without fail and without a grumble. Because I know that the plodding of my boots is all Londoners need to hear to feel safe and secure. Wow, he is a very passionate man. When he's not asleep. So, fighting crimes doesn't appear to come into it, then. But, sir, just on that one particular day, I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B put up with a lot being married to a Bobby like me. I just wanted to show my dear wife how much I care. Oh! Hello. Wow. They really do love each other. Ooh. That is some romance right there. Look at that. When he's awake, he can be romantic. Oh, Pat.
Oh, Rolly.
It's cute. I just didn't expect him to actually be awake.
Oh, what a charming couple. Their young love is such a joy to behold.
Yeah, when he's awake. If a little over the top, perhaps? I guess. Yeah, now we know, because he actually is a romantic. Interesting.
And then, Kylie, describe what happened next.
Two silhouettes appeared out of the fog.
Hold it!
Two silhouettes.
That's right. They were coming They were coming toward us, walking up Briar Road in the opposite direction. There was a rather plump figure followed by a scrawny, thin-looking man. That does sound exactly like the victim as pictured in this print. And like Mr. Natsume.
I can't get over where the knife is. It's so weirdly angled. Wait, now that I think about it, is that a left-handed knife? Or did they hold it left-handed? At least now that I'm thinking about it. Because of the way that this is bent like this, you would put this in your left hand and the way that it was stabbed. Because the right, it would be the other way. She's in a Peter Griffin pose. I guess so. But yeah, I don't know. This kind of looks like the left-handedness. Yes, unfortunately it does.
And you're certain that at that time there was nobody else around?
A fan to me. Yeah, I was just like, it kind of looks that way. Hey, I've said before I'm left-handed, so I know about these things. I might be wrong. Because a blade can be switched different ways, but just because of how it's bent at the hilt. We'll see if that comes into play at all.
Oh yes, quite certain. It was dark. But there are streetlights on Briar Road, you see. There was nobody else around at all. Isn't that right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's weird to begin with. It's slightly on an angle, too, so it's even weirder.
What? Ah, yes, that's right. Of course there was a slight fog on the ground. But Briar Road is dead straight and you can see a fairly long road down the pavement. And then there's the street lights as well. Street lighting as well. I didn't see any other pedestrians.
Before sleep takes a firm hold, your answer, please, Mr. Beach. Are you quite sure of what you just said?
Yes, sir. As a copper who spends all day, every day keeping watch on the streets, I swear to it, sir. I'm as sure as my love for Patricia is true.
Look like dolls. Are we sure they're even old enough to be legally married? Well, she's 21 and he's 23, so yes. Yes, they are.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, Rolly.
Oh, boy. They're still maintaining there was no one else around other than the victim and the attacker. Starting to seem like that must be how it really happened.
It's beginning to seem like there's nowhere to run.
Well, that didn't stop Mr. Natsume, did it? He fled the scene all too convincingly.
Thank you. I believe we have a reasonably clear idea of the situation just before the incident now. What happened in the critical moments that followed?
But yeah, it says they're 23 and 21 years old, respectively. So one of them just collapsed. Okay. Scattered something? What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, I couldn't quite make out what it was at the time, but then when we got closer, we realized what it was. Didn't we?
My gosh. It's still that noise.
Huh? What? Oh, yes, that's right. It was some old books. I see, old books.
And, oh.
Yes, sir, the culprit had dropped a number of them, all around where the victim lay on the pavement. Indeed, as clearly pictured in this photographic print.
Well, we can't even read the book, so if I could see what they were up close, that would be helpful.
That rotten Japanese man did that one. He did the deed.
Hold it!
let's not forget that it remains to be established that the defendant was indeed the attacker.
But we saw him! It was the man in the dock without question, sir.
And... oh.
The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, that mouth, the snub nose, everything.
Any more insults you want to throw in?
That's right, he looked down at that poor defenseless woman with those terrified, intense eyes. And then suddenly threw his books onto the pavement and ran away.
I see. This is tough. They seem as though they're telling the truth here. I don't think they're lying. But the question then beholds, you said he threw the books down, which is interesting.
May I remind the court that this unambiguous testimony comes from a policeman and his wife. Now please, continue.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next. Straight over and went to a police box. Okay. Was it your husband who went to fetch help?
No, I went. I may not be a police officer myself, but I am the proud wife of one after all. Isn't that right?
And there's another one.
What? Oh, yes, that's right. I asked Mrs. Beat to go. I was off duty by that point. But a Bobby's never truly off duty, of course, so I felt obligated to stay and guard the scene.
Yes, he's wobbling all over the place. Golly.
Very laudable, Mr. Beat. Preserving the scene of a crime is a task of considerable importance.
Does he get a, promotion? Or a, pay raise? Less hours would be nice, too.
That's why I sent Patricia, you see. I told her where to find the right police box.
Forgive my ignorance, but what do you mean exactly by the right police box?
Depends on the crime location, you see, as to who deals with it. Where the woman was stabbed wasn't actually on my beat. So I told Patricia the way to the police box for the beat that incident fell under so she could go and report it.
That's so weird. So because it's not in his, jurisdiction, I guess it makes sense to modern standards. I just think it's weird that you had to find a specific thing. You're asking a lot in these times. Hey, I'm trying to help the guy out. You know? Oh, even her clothes are patchy too. I guess I'm in the way, but look. Her clothes are patchy too. Now that I've noticed.
I ran there as fast as I could and asked for help from the Bobby on duty. There's nothing more potent than a young couple in love working together, you know?
I know. Still doesn't mean I can't help and hope that he gets a promotion.
Thanks to your swift response, the case was quickly resolved. The actions of two model citizens. Oh, please, you're making us blush. Isn't he?
You should really just have a counter of how many times this happens. Golly.
Yes, sir, what Patricia said, sir.
And down he goes. Let's move on, shall we? It was definitely the Japanese man.
Hold it!
Okay. But surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the grass. The gas... Golly. Surely you wouldn't have been able to see his face by the light of the gas street lamps, would you? Oh my gosh, leave him alone. Holy moly, woman. Relax.
We absolutely could. Us Londoners have exceptional eyesight, I'll have you know.
Yes, it feels like that. Right. My gosh, she's still going.
The light from the street lamps was more than enough. And my husband already told you the fog was only light. Didn't he?
She's just like Chi-Chi. I guess so. Yes, and what of the fog?
We're famous for it across the globe, I believe. But it's an absolute menace to those of us who have to live with it, of course.
Oh, it is, it is. When it's thick, you can't even see the hand at the end of your own arm.
Yes, alright, I take your point. Now, could you stop shaking your husband about? Thank you!
The constant fog makes our eyes very sharp, you see. That's why we can tell you for sure and certain that it was that little Japanese man we saw. Can't we?
And again. My gosh, you have been, like, stringing him around. Huh? What?
Yes, it was the accused and no mistake. The mustache, the hunchback, the cat-like eyes, the mouth, the snub nose, unmistakable saw.
As far as this couple's testimony is concerned, there can't be any question. It was Soseki-san they saw running away from the scene of the crime. So that's it, is it? That's their entire testimony?
What do you think, Mr. Naruto?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though Mr. and Mrs. Beat saw what they say they saw. Mr. Natsume running away from the scene on Briar Road that day.
Yes, I feel the same.
So if that's true, where does it leave us?
The members of the jury are sure to call for a guilty verdict after this testimony.
Oh no, then what do we do?
If Kazuma-sama were here,
What are you trying to say?
I think he would try to find a contradiction somewhere else within their testimony.
What do you mean, somewhere else?
Their statements about seeing Mr. Natsume is unequivocal. Calling that into question won't help. But if you could identify some other part of their testimony which appears to contradict the facts, you might be able to discredit them to make the jury doubt if the pair's memory of the day is accurate.
They didn't see him get stabbed, did they? I'm assuming they haven't. At least not what they said. They've never said specifically they saw. They just saw the woman collapse and him run away, and Natsume run away. So they saw something, but they didn't see the stabbing happen. Oh, right.
Put simply, we must focus on finding a discrepancy in these statements somewhere. If we don't, I'm afraid the trial may reach an early unfavorable conclusion.
How could they even see that well in the fog, too? The gas street lamps, she says? / London eyeballs adapting to the fog? Why do I always seem to be so up against it? Because you're part of the Wright family.
Mr. Lawyer, sir, can I ask something?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it? No, I am not a therapist. Those lamps do absolutely no justice. Hello. I missed something. What the frick? I turned away for 2 seconds. Oh, wow, that took a second.
Well, you keep asking all these questions about everything we told you, so it seems like you don't believe our testimony. Isn't that right? Is it? Well, out with it.
Her poor husband is being used like a rag doll. What? No. Oh, no, it's really not that at all.
My husband's a policeman, remember? And I know what I saw. I remember every last detail, everything, like... Oh, I know. What about the books the man dropped? I could tell you the names of every single one I could. Every single one.
That's normal. I don't think so.
And you dared to question how reliable my testimony is.
That will do, Mrs. Beat.
No, it won't do at all. That Japanese lawyer has no idea what I'm capable of.
I think we're keenly aware. Your husband has been a demonstration for the entire time you've been talking.
Even if I decide to forgive him for insulting us, don't think for a minute that Rolly will.
Snap. Okay, Matthew. Golly. Relationships are real. Just this one is an interesting one. I really didn't mean to cause offense. Please, put your husband's fist down.
Perhaps you would like the opportunity to supplement your testimony, Mrs. Beat. Might that appease you?
Yeah. Oh, thank you, my lord. That would settle things nicely.
Like, really sure? Yes, yes, I am.
Wouldn't it?
I think that's a yes. Dropped at the scene.
Hold it!
Okay, tell me. No, he's just really, 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 really tired. He walked 20 miles? He walks 20 miles a day? No, I just have seen relationships happen, so, you know. That's just the thing. And when you mean by relationships, you know, relationships could mean anything, right? It doesn't have to be romantic in context, right? It could be friendships, family, which is technically a relationship, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, there's definitely, like, I've seen couples. It's just a natural thing of human beings, from what I've seen. As Paul has just said, after 800 years, you see a lot. So romantic being, they are not a fabrication. I think in media, they are seen, what is the word? In a mostly positive light when it's more complicated? Something like that. We know that there were books dropped at the scene of the crime, as you say.
Those purchases by the accused at the nearby second-hand bookshop on the day in question. After I'd been to the police box for help, I decided to have a good look over the area for good measure. I'm a proud policeman's wife, after all. I did it for Rolly.
And what was your husband doing at the time? Probably sleeping on his feet?
Oh, he was lying face down on the snow, getting some well-deserved rest.
Well, I was not far off. He just was in the... Oh my goodness. Wow, you have not... I've seen way too many couples in my lifetime. Way too freaking many.
Golly, way too many.
But anyway, good for Rolly. He got sleep. And he's still tired. Probably very. Like, he's sleeping standing up and moving around. We can tell he's tired.
He works ever so hard, you know. Ever so hard, don't you?
Interesting way of guarding the scene of the crime.
Well, Mrs. Beatsy, as you've regaled the court with tales of your powers of recollection, would you be so kind as to recount the titles of the book you observed at the scene?
Snow is cozy. I guess for him it probably feels like a bed.
I'd be happy to. Now, are you listening? There was the picture of Monsieur somebody or other, and what's earnings? And then there was, a meal for someone, and the last one was definitely the thingums something.
Sleep while cold, your body won't let you unless the sleep is indefinite. Well, if he works almost every day and walks 20 miles a day and does a lot of things and does not sleep for a good amount of time, I think he would fall asleep in snow. Like, I think he's that sleep deprived that his nerves have numbed and his brain does not work. Excuse you, my memory is fine.
You see?
Yes, I see there's one or two holes in your memory.
Oh, well, they were along those lines, I'm quite sure.
Excuse you, you're apparently an immortal being, so what are you calling me old for? I think it was 20 miles. I think that's what they said. I forget how long it was. Was it 20 miles? Difference. Oh my gosh. What the frick?
Oh, well, they were along those lines, I'm sure. Quite sure. There were indeed books found at the scene with titles along those lines, as you put it.
Well, what did I tell you?
So I think it's very mean the way you've been implying that my testimony can't be trusted. Don't you agree?
And there we go again. Oh my gosh! What the Guys? I know we can have a sword in here. And we can have wine in here. Is this really necessary? No, he is not. What do you mean? He's not American. This is in the 18th century in London. What do you mean?
Anyone who accepts my Patricia will have to answer to me. Have me to answer to.
Remind me again? Why does he have that? If he's sleep deprived?
Terrifying.
Yes, she really is. For self-defense, he's exhausted. Do you trust him with that? So that's it? Is it? Their entire testimony?
What do you think, Mr. Naruto?
Well, I hate to admit it, but on hearing the testimony, it really does seem as though saw what they saw. Okay. Okay, well, we have this. Alright. Missing. Yeah, he might miss, but do you really want the chances of that happening? I don't think he should have it, to be very honest. I don't think his wife should either, because obviously she's got a temper on her. He got it for a reason, I guess. I'm assuming this last one is important somehow. And it doesn't. I'm like, can I look at the books? And this is a oh my god. Instance is that thing only has 8 lives. Golly. Alright. I'm just like, she was talking about the books. I'm kind of like, those are, all we have is, okay, what about this? Oh, well, it's a blunt. It's got a blunt. Not hard to hit a target. Oh. Well, when he's sleep deprived, so who knows if he can even hit the target.
Oh, look.
Hang on. There we go.
Oh, look. Here, Mr. Naruto. Just the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing.
You're right. We spotted. Well spotted, Mrs. Sato.
Wonder what could have happened to it.
Yes, you don't think it could still be lodged in the victim, do you?
Oh dear, I do hope not. That sounds terribly painful.
Yes, I know you guys would act this way. What did I expect? What's this? Is that a... No, what? Oh, is that the thing to, like, open it? Safely, I guess? That's like a latch? Yeah, well, besides that, that's the only thing on that. Young woman unconscious. in the back. East side. Conscious. Okay, let's just... No, not that particular brand, no. Unconscious. Apart from one stab wound from the large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and was successfully arrested the following day. Oh, does this have the picture of a meal, Canterbury Yearnings, on the 17th? Does this tell me the date? It doesn't tell me. My gosh, leave. You just won't ever let that go, will you? Well, I'm assuming this is gonna be important. So what did she say? Something or other? What? So she had the picture and meal and Canterbury Yearnings. So those match what she said. I'm gonna hear what... Let me read what she said. I know he's answering Matthew's question. I'm talking to myself to read what she said. That's why I'm just double checking what she said. Alright, blah blah blah. Have to... There was the picture of Monsieur somebody or other. And what's it? Yearnings. They wanted to be specific. I said around 800, and they decided 801 when I had my birthday, so you know. Give me a sec. Golly, let me figure things out. I'm looking at it. The picture. Monsieur Emile. The picture, and then there was a meal for someone, and that's definitely the thing, something. Yes, there is. She cites 4, and there's 3 that he purchased. I just needed to. I can figure it out. Give me a chance. Don't backseat, please. I figured it out. Oh my gosh. Okay, we got it. By the way, that weapon is such a tiny weapon. Alright, blah blah blah. It was 50 years. What the frick? It's okay, I know you didn't do it on purpose. I was trying to figure it out, being like, it's something to do with the book, so it's gotta be something to do with the receipt. Alright, blah, 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 blah. Present. Oh, I hit the wrong thing, golly, again? They're both... It's probably for self-defense. I wouldn't be surprised. This is more for gameplay-wise than actual lawyering-wise, so... There's some logic, but I'm not gonna say that it's completely in the real-world logic. So what you're saying... That there were 4 books?
That's right, I remember all of them. A picture of Monsieur somebody, what's it, yearnings, a meal for somebody, someone, and the thingy-ums, something.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Beat. But there is a fundamental flaw in that statement of yours.
Oh no, what flaw?
simply that, at the scene of the crime, there were only 3 books, not 4.
What?
This is the receipt from the bookshop where the defendant bought his books. Only anime girls. Okay, if that's how you want to think about this game, good for you.
Your books?
Yes, and it details Mr. Natsume's purchases that day. But as you can see, only 3 books are listed. Well, because they're trying to use that our client's books being there at the scene is he stabbed the victim and ran away, leaving the books behind. There being another book means that someone else had the books, whether that was the victim or somebody else.
Only 3, but no, that can't be. I remember seeing them. There were 4 books, I tell you. 4 dirty old books.
Oh, really? Have a good look at this photographic print of the scene of the crime. Oh, and that's also the case. There's 3 of them there. That's not what we're saying, that there's only 1 copy. But he goes to an older bookstore. So they're not common books, first of all. And second of all, it is on his receipt, and he was behind the woman at the time before she overtook him and then was stabbed. So it's important that his receipt shows this is the time he was at the store and these books existed. That's a woman, first of all. And we don't know because you would assume that they would say so. But we'll find out.
But I just don't believe it. I saw them there. I swear it. I saw them.
No, madam, I'm afraid your powers of observation can't be relied upon. Do that. There you go. Grr. So it cannot be denied that although you say it was the defendant you saw, you could very well be mistaken.
Oh no, oh no. No!
Whoa, she has so many patches on that dress. Oh boy, Van Zeeks is finally talking.
It's plainly evident that it was your powers of deduction that can't be relied upon, my learned Nipponese friend.
What? How many bottles of wine do you have? He's the prosecutor. This is Lord Van Zeeks, the Reaper of the Bailey, the guy who never lost a case until we came along in London and technically won against him. So yeah, this is technically round 2. Yes, that's another thing to say.
What cannot be denied is that these 2 witnesses saw the accused running from the scene. A fact that you know very well you have no hope of disproving.
Yeah.
So you've striven to avert attention from that by dint of some inconsequential discrepancies. Would that be fair?
He's right. He sees right through me. Round 2 fight. Yeah, it's literally that. Okay, well, enjoy your food.
But your plan has somewhat recoiled against you.
He lost case before, but the defendant always passed away quickly after. Did he? I thought it was after they were... He got them guilty, they passed away. But maybe... I don't know. What are you talking about?
It's quite simple. Let me explain with a toast.
I don't know about that one.
It's the policeman's wife and her entirely accurate testimony in every aspect. Oh! You see, the matter is not up for debate. At the scene of Briar Road, a total of 4 books were most definitely found.
Well then tell us that, you annoying jerk.
Objection!
But what about the photographic print? It only shows 3 books.
Quite right, only 3 can be seen in that print.
That print? You mean to say... Oh, there it goes.
Allow me to present another. One that shows the victim's hand.
So it was in her hand. The Lion's Pride. What the frick? The book. The back of the book cover is gone. The book, or at least maybe more than the book, some of the pages are ripped. I don't believe it. It's the 4th book.
As you will observe, the 4th book was hidden from view in the original print by the victim's torso.
No. No! But did she even say something pride? I'm now curious, does she have... Objection, blah 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 blah. I'm kind of like, I swear nothing of the lion. It's the Lion's Pride, and she didn't say anything about those particular titles. Order.
There, you see? You see? Look at that! Look!
Yes.
It's just like I said, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Patricia is always right, sir.
Let us study the receipt for the book purchased by the accused on the day in question. Mrs. Beat, the titles once again, if you please. Oh yes, of course. The picture of Monsieur something or other. The picture of Monsieur Lecoul. Was it Yearnings? Canterbury Yearnings. And Meal for Someone. Meal for Garbaroo, in fact. As the court has just heard, the witnesses remembers the book titles flawlessly, save for a few minor details. Mrs. Beat's power of recollection can only be described as exceptional. Did you hear that, Raleigh? The gentleman paid me a compliment.
Yes, sir. Flawless, sir. Patricia is flawless.
But there are only 3 books on the receipt, and Mrs. Beat mentioned 4.
There's nothing surprising about that. Clearly the 4th book which is shown in this photographic print.
I'm sorry, counsel, but does that not seem odd? Why should the 4th book be omitted from the receipt?
It's not odd at all, my lord. As the photograph clearly shows, the 4th book was found in the victim's clutches. In other words, it belongs to the victim.
The victim was holding her own book?
I wonder, what became of that 4th book? Obviously, it wasn't overlooked by the investigating officers at Scotland Yard. I have it here, as evidence.
Give me the book, please!
You will submit that in the aforementioned photographic print to the court, please, counsel.
My pleasure, my lord.
Alright, second photograph of the scene taken by the policeman just after the incident. It specifically shows the victim's hand. The 4th book has been entered into the court record. Entitled The Lion's Pride, discovered in the victim's hand at the scene. Give me the access to the court record, please. Give me access to the court record, please. I need to look at that, please. It's burned. Look at that. It's completely burnt. Why would she have a burned book?
Oh, look at this. The book's been badly burned.
Well, hey, they have to do this, take pictures of the scene of the crime, you know? You're right, you'd never be able to read it in this state, especially not the latter pages.
What a terrible waste. Judging from the scorched pages of the paper, I think the damage must have occurred very recently.
A book. Recently damaged by fire. Why does that seem to raise a red flag with me? Yeah, she needed help. I agree. I'm just saying, I think the fact of the matter is they took the pictures quickly, like, took the pictures and then escorted her where she needed to be. Yay, got updated court record! That I know I'm going to need.
Alright, the prosecution rests. I have nothing further to add.
What?
You seem surprised, my learned friend, but your resistance to Tana has been in vain. Entertaining, yes, but futile. Desperation spurred this longer route to the accused lodgings that you tried to establish in your summontation examination, and the attempted discrediting of the witness's powers of recollection in your cross-examination.
Futile? I walked right into this, didn't I?
You see, everything we said is true. Isn't it? Isn't that right?
Yes, Pat. Marry me, Pat.
She's already married to you, buddy. A year now.
So perhaps the ladies and gentlemen of the jury would like to reconsider their positions?
I would like to say something. Excuse me, Ryanosuke. Please raise your hand.
Should the court waste any more time on this Nipponese travesty? Or is it the decision you have to make all too apparent already?
Oh, boy!
You've heard all the witnesses and seen all the evidence. This trial has run its course. Mr. Naruhodo, I'm afraid we're in a terrible, precarious position.
I know, but if I fight back in the wrong way now, I could very well just make matters worse. Think, Ryanosuke, think. What do you do now? Raise an objection, obviously. If we don't, it's over. It's over. Yeah, that's the thing. We haven't seen all the evidence yet. I'm not done yet.
No, my learned friend, it's over. That last cross-examination was your final chance to establish credible defense, and you failed.
Well, you didn't give me all the information. Is that my fault that I didn't know that there was another picture of the scene of the crime? Was it my fault that you didn't look at the back of the book and see that it was burned? And question, why, if she was stabbed out in the cold and in the snow, that her book is burned?
The die has been cast, and there is no more room for debate.
Well, it might be over as far as you're concerned, but... Come on, Ryanosuke, say something. I can't think of what to say.
If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, it seems somewhat boorish to close down the debate at this point.
Yay!
Your insignificant little Eastern Isle must be a lawless hole indeed.
Excuse you? Let her finish talking.
For a lowly judicial assistant to have the audacity to intervene at a moment like this. Oh.
Come on, Susato. I am, to my shame, still a very inexperienced lawyer. So you will have to forgive me, but I consider my assistant's advice essential for her opinion, and her opinions invaluable. Yeah, that is just a lot. And I'm proud of you, Ryanosuke, standing up for Susato. Good job. We're proud of you, Ryanosuke.
Mr. Naruhodo.
One of this land's greatest guiding principles is tolerance, so the court will hear you, madam.
Good for you, Judge. I'm proud of the judge. Good job, Judge. Go ahead, Mr. Susato, please.
Very well. Pray, what insight can you give us? What have we all overlooked in this matter that you see fit to pursue further?
The book, the burned book.
Well, the court has been presented with new evidence, but only after the last cross-examination finished.
I see. And you believe that this new evidence warrants further examination, do you?
Yes.
Mr. Naruto, what do you think?
Yes, 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 yes.
It's just possible that this new evidence might be the decisive proof we've been waiting for. The judge is sure to ask the members of the jury to announce their leanings in that moment. And of course, he's sure to ask you to explain what the critical piece of evidence is and why. So he must take this opportunity to examine the newly presented evidence as thoroughly as possible.
Yes, I understand. And thank you, Mrs. Sato. Which reminds me, I should look at the second thing. There's nothing else really weird here besides, like, you know, the snow. This is it. Sato-san has managed to win us one last chance here. Can't let it go to waste. The defense wishes to present evidence, my lord. Okay.
Very well. The defense may present one further piece of evidence. Evidence that apparently offers a profound insight into this case, and hitherto has been overlooked.
I'm assuming it's the burned book. If it's not, grasping at straws the game. Yes, that's Phoenix Wright's specialty, so obviously his ancestor has that as well. The evidence in question is what we can see from the newly presented photographic print of the crime scene. The fourth book, found in the victim's hand.
Objection!
Let me finish before you object, sword.
If I discuss the fourth book at length, other than it being in the victim's grasp at the time of the incident, no significance has been attached to it.
Oh, I would say there is. How did you miss the burns?
Pursuing the matter further would be a flagrant waste of the court's time, as you will know.
Ugh.
Yes, I'm afraid, counsel, I must concur with the prosecution on this matter. When I offered you this opportunity, you led the court to believe that the evidence in question contained a hitherto undiscoverable clue.
There is.
So I must insist that you elaborate, counsel. You will identify this clue at once. Do I make myself clear?
Oh, yes, my lord. It's,
Mr. Naruto, I believe the prosecution is trying to avoid a thorough examination of the evidence, which means you may very well be on the right track.
Yes, I think you might be right.
So, counsel, precisely where is the vital clue to this case which this fourth book conceals?
Da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
There we go!
I would ask the court to observe the back of the book in question.
The back? What are you? Good gracious! It's been burnt to a crisp!
So we have to ask ourselves, why was the victim clutching what is clearly an unreadable book? It's undeniably an extremely unnatural thing for her to have been doing. Well, yeah, if it was just her book, it shouldn't be burnt. So why would she, or the person who stabbed her, burn the book? Or did someone else do it that's completely unrelated?
Objection!
What are you gonna object about?
Unnatural, you say? What of it, my Nipponese friend?
Oh. What do you mean, oh?
Were I to concede the point, if it bears no relation to the case, there is nothing to discuss. So should you wish to assert that this fire damage is some veiled clue as to what happened that day? Pray, do enlighten us all. What truth does this charred book hide?
A charred book. There is just one possibility here, which I can't quite bring myself to rule out. It's an outside chance, certainly, but worth a try. Alright, I'll explain my theory.
Don't keep us waiting any longer then, counsel. Explain this theory of yours. What are you suggesting that you can assert from the fire damage this sorry tome has suffered?
Well, I'm assuming it's not the shop that sold it, its owner its content, its owner? It's like a 50-50 shot. Because it can't be the first option. What are you suggesting for the fire damage this tome has suffered? The content? The lion's pride. Its owner? The contents. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch the tiger by its toe. If it hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny. Mo. So I guess its owner? My lord, the burn on the back of this book reveals a startling truth about the book's owner.
I beg your pardon?
But we already know who the book belongs to. The victim was gripping it in her hands as she fell to the floor. After all, it's obviously hers.
The question of how this book came to be in the victim's hand has yet to be answered. However, as to the question of who the book really belongs to and where it's originated, yes, I flipped a coin. Is that an issue? It was a 50-50 shot because the first one is a throwaway line. The other one, it's like, the contents is the lion's pride. It didn't seem that, but, you know. The defense has very credible answers.
Good gracious, how could you possibly...
Very well, I'll play along with this futile attempt to delay your inevitable demise. But do remember, the members of the jury may well burn you if your little gamble goes awry.
Counsel, the defense's response here is very likely to influence the final outcome of this trial. So tell the court, who do you claim is the owner of this burnt book?
I don't know. Wait. They had a fire, didn't they? Didn't the Garib family have a fire at their house? Their apartment? Now that I'm thinking about it, didn't they have a fire? Because I'm like,
Take that!
I just thought about it. I'm like, where would the burning come from? They had a fire from the candles. The answer is that the book belongs to the couple who own the house where the defendant has his lodgings. A certain Mr. and Mrs. Garib.
The landlords?
One is on the frickin' who was on the jury. So are they gonna switch out jury number 3 then? Because she's the wife? If they want to say she's the employer, he's the employer of her as the maid. She can't be on there because she has a bias. Even though we already have someone on there who's already biased against me anyway, so I don't know. Maybe this jury in the 18th century is a free-for-all. Woohoo! And whether this is some extraordinary coincidence or some kind of fate at work, I don't know, but... Of all people in London, one of the 6 chosen for jury duty in this courtroom today is none other than Mrs. Garib herself.
Oh my goodness, me? I think you must be mistaken, sir. I'm not Mr. Garib's wife. I'm his maid.
Things would be so much easier if you would just drop the pretense. Alright then, how about a simple question for you? Have you ever seen this book in Mr. Garib's house?
I would never presume to know all of the books he keeps, sir.
Objection!
This is outlandish behavior. This woman is the accused landlady, you say? You implicate this hardworking member of the public. You besmirch her without a shred of evidence.
Their house had a fire that I saw with my own 2 eyes. So did Susato, and so did, oh, gimme. Herlock Shlomes. So we have 3 people who have seen it. So unless you're gonna say Herlock is wrong,
then I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Your actions are unforgivable.
Objection!
This is not mere conjecture. The defense happens to know that on the day in question, at almost exactly the same time as the victim was stabbed on the pavement below, another incident was taking place in the room on the top floor of Mr. and Mrs. Garib's house.
Good lord! What sort of incident, counsel?
A fire, my lord.
Afraid to say it was happened in the blink of an eye, you know? The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a Bailey thing. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The Bailey furniture started going up as well. Worst of it is, lost my favorite book called The Lion's Pride.
I forgot he said the book! I forgot he said that!
Oh my goodness!
His book was stolen. How the frick did this lady get a hold of his book? Wow. My mind is blown.
The Lion's Pride.
By Jove, that's the very same title that's the subject of this debate!
Oh dear me.
Objection!
Yeah, it does. I did not expect it. They had to be connected, but I didn't know how.
This is risible. All you've told the court is that a book by the exact same name was involved in a fire. In which case, it would be reasonable to assume that it was burnt to ashes. And entirely unreasonable to infer that it magically removed itself to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, but isn't it also weird that that same title book that appeared at the scene of the crime is also burnt recently? And and the fire happened on the same day that the crime was committed. So how did, pray tell, a random coincidence like that can't be random? Perhaps it would make more sense if I told you that the cause of the fire was marital discord. Without going into details, it appears that Mrs. Garib was considerably enraged. Apparently, she continued to attack Mr. Garib even amid the flames.
Oh, how awful! I can't even imagine being so horrid as the one you love. Can you, Rolly?
Absolutely not, sir. My Patricia would never raise a finger against me, sir.
Sorry, but I just saw some frickin' lies in front of my eyeballs. But okay. Yeah, and as you say, books weren't that common either. So, having the exact same book title, it's not impossible, but definitely the condition of it is weird. Okay, let's see.
All my favorite old novels in that had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh. Up in smoke. Then the wife started hurling things at me. There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire. Incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen.
Did it end up at the window? Did she throw it and it end up outside? Huh.
The man had his backed up against the window and he had burnt books thrown at him? Goodness gracious, are you suggesting that the book was thrown through a window and landed coincidentally at the scene of the crime?
Objection!
No, a thorough investigation of the surrounding area was conducted the very evening of the incident, and there was no report of the Garib's window pane being broken.
That's quite true. We also saw no sign of broken glass when we visited the Garib household. But is it not conceivable that the window was open at the time and...
Not even remotely. Let us not forget the season and the chilling weather that accompanies it.
Yeah, but if the room was on fire, wouldn't you open the window to let like, air out the smoke? I don't know.
No Londoner would ever leave a window open in the middle of winter.
Yeah, it's like the room was on fire.
Does the defense postulate this scenario in all seriousness, counsel? Do you honestly claim that the book was found at the scene was a flaming projectile thrown by Mr. Gareeb's wife?
I believe it's a possibility, my lord. That's quite
enough. Well, I hope that everyone can see you for what you are, you little foreign trickster.
Excuse you?
You call yourself a lawyer, but you're just a coward, a mean coward.
Really?
Claiming that our little tiff set the whole neighborhood alight, honestly. Implying that I'm merely posing as a maid for appearance's sake. How could you? It's nothing to do with this beastly case, not any of it. All you've done is sully our family name.
No, I assure you that was never my intention.
Dragging an upstanding citizen's name through the mud, simply to avert attention from your failing defense.
Did she just slap the man? Excuse me, juror number 5 did nothing wrong.
I shall box your ears, that's what I should do. It's utterly unforgivable.
Too right.
Here we go.
How long have we sat here now listening to this Nipponese spout out his fancy foreign theories? But think about it. At the end of the day, the only person who could have possibly have stabbed the victim is that little hunchback with the mustache, and he ran away from the scene too.
I do declare you're right.
It's true.
Yes, what did I tell you?
Makes sense to me.
Sorry. What was that?
Well, it would appear that the ladies and gentlemen of the jury are once again in full agreement. What is your position, Lord Van Zeeks?
More wine, I guess.
In truth, my lord, I feel these have been unnecessarily protracted proceedings. But then, one must always exercise patience in order to savor the best vintage.
Oh! No, wait. The mystery of the 4th book still hasn't been... And there goes the foot.
If your books are your predilection, my learned friend, study them on your own time.
Wow, the aggression level went way up in here. The tension. What? No forgive the discourtesy this time? No, he's probably annoyed. He's probably annoyed. For who knows what reason now.
In that case, ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Oh.
You will now state your individual decisions regarding the defense culpability for the court to hear.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Oh boy.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty. Guilty.
Gray! And that's it.
Thank you for the unanimous response.
That's twice now, it's over.
Mr. Naruto, don't give up.
Mrs. Sato?
Have you forgotten? The battle isn't over yet.
You're not suggesting...
Of course, the defense has the right to another summontation examination at this point. You could still convince the jurors to change their minds. You have one more chance.
Oh boy, we're doing this again? My lord, the defense asks to exercise its right to a summontation examination.
You believe you still have tricks up your sleeve?
I don't intend to trick anybody. I intend to uncover the truth. There is no time to be downcast. As long as there's a chance, I have to stay strong and determined. To be continued. Right now. Wow. I am curious where we're going with this, because now that the book is connected to the Gareebs, and that we're saying that it came through the window, came out of the window. Yeah, how did she end up gripping the book? No one talked about seeing a light in the sky that I remember.
I've considered the defense's defense's counsel requests for further summatation examination for the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure.
This is the only reason we have not had our client be signed guilty. But yes, to be continued right now.
So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second summatation examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman.
Yeah, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask each of you now to clearly state and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of the crime. Find the defendant guilty of this crime.
Okay. Judicial findings. The juror's contentions. The accused left behind at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his. No blood and a broken tip. That is true. But she's at the hospital unconscious, though. That's the thing. Is, at least to our knowledge, she remains unconscious. And that the wounds weren't fatal, so there's just many questions. Maybe! That is possible.
If there was some novel alliteration explanation about how the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider.
Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed, can it?
Dearie me, it was only a little book. Hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit.
I think your husband would beg to differ, Mrs. Garib.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a teeny bit of trouble.
Come to think of it, we have a fire at home a while ago. Give me the sneezes.
Well, jury number 6 is not going to be helpful to me. Maybe she took the book to the head, as you said before, maybe.
Yes, considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems.
From jury number 6, are you sure about that, Putty?
With one notable exception, of course.
Okay, thank you.
I learned Ipani's friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. So the court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover...
How many cups do you have under that prosecuting stand?
No one else was even at the scene to commit the crime.
Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means I'm afraid that during the summatation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
But how? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here?
Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman, and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide.
I mean, he's a lord. If he used to throw glasses around, he'd have a number of them. I guess. But you think he has some frickin' fine wine here, you would drink all of the wine and then throw the glass. Why is he throwing the wine with the glass and making the thing go on fire? That's all. It just seems a little weird. But hey, I don't know. He is a nobleman, so who knows if they make technical sense to begin with. In this instant. Alright.
Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted.
So he's at least being fair. This time around. And there I was thinking this might be hard.
But Mr. Naruto, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure then. Yeah, no pressure at all.
It's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the summatation examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel.
As we'll ever be. Oh yes, my lord. Alright, Ryunosuke, focus your mind now. Well, hopefully that woke you up. Clearly, the key to the summatation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid. Or should I say, Mrs. Grebe?
We have a book that disappeared from the Garib's house on the evening of the incident. And the fourth book found in the victim's hand.
There must be a way to link the two. Yes, that's what we have to find. Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far. Whatever it takes.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garib and show how she reacts, even to the other things people say.
Okay. There we go! Oh, and they're just here, too. Okay. Oh, I should move myself. Look. They're here, too. Rolly and Patricia are here, too. Huh. Left behind evidence at the scene. Huh. I don't think 5 and 6 are important to me. So I think 3 and 4 is gonna be my bet. Alright, let's start with juror number 3. After I save, just so I don't have to go too far back, just in case when I pit people against each other. Okay. Up, nope, the other way.
Hold it!
But what about the possibility that the window was open? What about it? I mean, there's no way it could have been. How can you be so sure?
Prosecutor fellow over there said it earlier, didn't he? Winters in London are no joke. You don't want to invite that sort of cold indoors. So no, the window wasn't open. Us Londoners like sitting by the fire and staying warm, see?
But couldn't categorically state that the window wasn't open, could you?
Just wasn't. They wouldn't have opened it.
Then what's the point of even having windows, huh?
Counsel, you will kindly refrain from childish bickering.
Oh, sorry. Somehow I need to show there's an undeniable possibility that the window was open. Because this man isn't going to budge otherwise. Wait, maybe... Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me sneezes. Maybe it is juror number 6. Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Sorry, what was that? You'll have to speak up, lad.
Could you tell us more about that fire?
It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. It had 75 candles on the top. It did. What a sight to behold. It was.
You put candles on a cake? Was it some... Was it some kind of... devil worship? No! Rianosuke, no! It's called... That's just a thing that Westerners do? I don't know the reason why, but they do.
Of course not. It was an angel cake. To celebrate my birthday, obviously. Seems that a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Odo. Anyway, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. Only I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but candles were flying all over the room.
Well, yeah, you had 57 candles in one cake. How big was this cake? And how much breathing power did you put behind to blow up the candles? Because that probably is the reason why, combined together, that they ended up all over the place. It's just in Japan. I don't know. I find that it's the same weird logic jumping with the candle thing. It's not like they put it in a circle, like a particular pentagram. That would be different.
Furniture caught, and everything went up.
The whole place filled with smoke.
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. Wow. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. But how did you catch a cold from a fire?
What if fiasco it was that these grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And then, because the whole room had filled with smoke, of course, we had to open all the windows to clear it.
the windows. The biting winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. I caught a terrible cold from it. It put me in the hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry. I knew it was devil worship all along. No, just unfortunately unlucky circumstances. But something about this old man's story is playing on my mind for some reason. We need to demonstrate blah 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 blah. I know. She could have done it. Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes, I don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions, just connection might do the trick. Alright, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
That's the spirit.
Alright, so we're gonna put juror number 3 and juror number 6 against each other, I guess.
Hold it!
Ah, frack! I hit the wrong thing! Oh! Oh! I guess I never realized that. Alright, blah 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 blah. Okay, anyways. Alright, even if it was throwing books, it can't be related to this crime if the window was closed. Pit. These two jurors' statements clearly contradict one another.
They do. How exactly, counsel?
Don't point at me again. I told you it wasn't me. Hmm?
What is it that you say? Speak up, lads. Speak up.
Juror number 3, do you see?
Oh, me? See what, sir?
Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebration last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter.
Well, yes, of course, because it was an emergency.
I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from fire, then you'd be mad not to open the... Uh-huh.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah, they completely just forgot about that. On the day in question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garib household, and Mr. Garib had the following to say about it. The whole place filled with smoke.
Oh my.
Excuse me.
Juror number 4, do you have something to say about that? Mrs. Garib.
Oh, dearie me. What is the meaning of this? How dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. So please, it's time to drop the pretense now.
What is it?
When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and the bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window.
And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window, which can't have been easy for you to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire?
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nerves to do otherwise.
All right then. Of course, I should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruto. You managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Greed's formal statement.
Alright, now you mention it, yes, the window was open at the time I cleaned. I'd forgotten, but it's true. The window could have been open when the woman was throwing books. I mean, it's definitely possible. If there was some novel alternative explanation about the victim was stabbed, I might reconsider. Well, we got 3 that act the same. I guess we'll go to juror number 2 and see what she has to say. But I don't know how it would connect to anything else until I get more information. Oh, the other way.
Hold it!
Okay. So, you might be willing to change your decision, you mean?
Oh my, such delight on your face. But I'm afraid I shan't be swayed by emotion. Despite what you may think of me, I am very modern, metropolitan, and rational woman.
That's great.
If one reads the morning papers, it's all forgotten by tea time, isn't it? So why read them in the first place? You see, modern, metropolitan, and rational thinking, wouldn't you say?
No, it's called you don't want to read, I say. And not at all extreme.
As I see it, an overwhelming suspicious Japanese man had been implicated by overwhelmingly strong testimony. So despite 1 or 2 minor puzzlements, I do declare that the man is overwhelmingly guilty. Modern, metropolitan, and rational logic, wouldn't you say?
Overwhelmingly.
Us modern gals, we're always delighted to embrace new fads, you know? So I'd be only too happy to consider exciting your theory if you come up with one.
I'd be happy to do that, too. If only I could. Okay. I'm glad you admitted the rational there. Thank you, Susato. So she's a dead end. I just want to get this all the way. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be a tad bit of trouble. Let me go, I guess, to jury number 1.
Hold it!
Let's see. But as we know now, there were 4 books, not 3.
Well, what difference does it make?
There's every possibility that the 4th book, in fact, belonged to the defendant's landlord.
Yes, that part I have a problem with.
Sorry?
Well, at the point the woman was stabbed, this landlord fellow was at home, wasn't he? Enjoying a fiery scrap with his wife or something, you said.
That's not exactly how I put it, no. Oh, well, I don't know when you last left, so things have technically developed, but I don't know when you left. So, pretty much to explain, the 4th book that's in, the victim's hand was burned, and we insinuate that it came from... Okay, so you were here when the books first were revealed. Anyway, this book was in the victim's hand from the 2nd picture. It's burned on the back, and we connected that the Lion's Pride is one of Mr. Graves' favorite books, / they had a fire, and this book has charred pieces on the back. So, we are asserting that the book is from Mr. Graves' house. So that's where we're at right now. And, oh yeah, by the way, everyone said that our client's guilty, so now we're in a summontation examination again. So we're trying to prove it. Yep.
Well, anyway, the point is, the fellow and his wife were somewhere else when it happened.
I think that's what you call a strong alibi.
So it couldn't have been the landlord who did it, which only leaves the Nipponese fellow. Honestly, can't see what all this is about. It's a done deal, isn't it?
Suppose it is, since I've nothing witty left to say. Ah. Anyway, the other thing is that we proved, Mrs. Garib said that they did open the window during the time. Yes, I know about Amanda the Avenger, the 2nd one came out. But yes, the other thing is Mrs. Garib confirmed that the window was open.
Hold it!
You just want to get this over with. How can you sit there and say something like that? A man's future is at stake here. Yeah, the lady didn't make it easy. Will you play it? Maybe. I only saw people play the demo as long as I avoid people. Yeah, as long as I avoid watching people play it, maybe. We'll see.
Well, tell him And me, both then, like I said before.
What?
I told you already, I'm a day laborer, aren't I? If I don't bring home some readies with me tonight, you'll find me floating face down in the Thames tomorrow morning.
What?
You heard me. My missus isn't one to mess about, you know. She can be fierce, believe me.
Another shining example of marital bliss, then.
A situation like this cropped up the other day. It was, well, do you know what's funny? I can't quite remember.
Sorry?
It was too frightening. That's the thing. I must have blocked it out.
Helpful.
I wonder if Mr. Pete will ever be dragged into the themes by his scarf.
Probably. Ear to a strong woman or what? I guess so. I think it's the Londoner's type. I guess. Don't even go there, Mrs. Otto. There must be some way to jog his memory about this. Now that you mention it, yes, the window was open and I clean and forgotten, but it's true. And then this man, yep.
Hold it!
The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. And the title of the book is The Lion's Pride. The same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garib told us that he had been reading.
Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband the copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? If it's the case. I guess so. That would be something.
I did. It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him.
Okay, so she also admits that she did throw The Lion's Pride out. So this is doing whatever your wife says. Oh boy.
And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because I couldn't, you insolent little man, I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as you well know.
I really don't.
I barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
And he remembered something.
Excuse me.
Okay, what is it? Juror number 5?
You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I blocked out.
Ah,
It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back.
you're calling her a granny. She's only 38. Golly, you're a granny. How old are you? Yeah, it's like Heesh. Even Goku didn't mess with his wife. Yep. I'm gonna be like, Heesh, that was unnecessary.
Who are you calling Granny, you cheeky devil? I'm Mrs. Garib, or the maid, I'll have you know.
Maybe like 60s? Yeah, I'll say 60s. I would call 60s and up elderly age to me. Yeah, 60, 70 is elderly to me. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. Put my hand in my pocket for the wages I just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had been dropped out.
Oh, no. Oh dear, what a disaster. I guess, but most people don't. Like, most humans don't nowadays. But maybe that's just how I see it.
You haven't heard the half of it, boy.
Oh?
The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost the day's wages, love. The next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear, stuck into the wall next to me it did, about an inch deep.
Well, yeah, most humans used to at the time. Probably during this time? Like, I get what you're saying around the 18th century, that would make sense, but even then, she's right at the cusp. Like, she's 38. Yeah, you don't say he doesn't have, he has, I think that's an understatement. Coal mining. Yeah. I guess that makes more sense when, hey, I'm thinking of her in the modern thoughts. I guess in the 18th century it made more sense? But I don't know. One said that love is the oldest and strongest emotion, and the strongest love is the love. Oh my gosh. Well, I know that's how you feel. But yes, I think I agree. Alright. No words, just terror.
I could smell it then, you know. That awful stench of the themes. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I could tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
I'll never use the word lightly again.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When a woman loses their rag, they'll throw literally anything at you. Knives, hatchet, hammers, you name it.
Mr. Naruto, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
I don't think that's what it means. I think the answer is that, one, the wife was angry at her juror number 5 because that is how they live, and him having no wage means she can't buy food, so they can't eat, or pay their rent, or do what they need to do. He's in a challenging relationship, I guess. So she's a little bit more understanding. The way she reacted with the knife is a little much, but her being upset makes sense. In a pickle, yeah, that probably in that. That's probably more close to it. When it comes to Mr. Garib, it's understandable for her to be mad at him because she thought he was cheating. But at the same point, she didn't think it through. She just saw a letter and assumed. So it's bad on her for not reading it clearly. So yeah. No, I wasn't thinking that.
Throwing household objects at people is, well, so uncivilized.
Yet you used the Susato takedown on Ryunosuke at least 4 times now.
At least attack with honor using a bow or the like.
Don't trust each other that deep. I guess so. I don't think she did. I guess that's possible, ain't it? Huh. Well, interesting fact, but that is possible. That is a possible theory. Because if the window was open enough, because she didn't pay attention to what she was throwing. What attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Alright, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later if I dare. Well, if he marries Susato, then yeah. Yeah, you might be right. You might actually be right, that's how that happened. I'm kind of like, what? If that is actually how that happened, that would explain the weird angle of the knife. I guess we'll see.
Objection!
These two statements clearly have a deep, significant connection. A fun fact, Japanese samurai use bows in battle more than swords. They use bow cavalry like... Huh. Oh, that's an interesting fun fact. Clearly continued. Yeah, But there's 2 games, so I don't know if anyone pops up in the second one. But yeah, I'm not saying. We have no idea.
Good grief, you mean that they don't contradict each other? Explain, counsel, at once.
I wear a bow. I think it looks cute on me. I think it does. It looks great. We were more talking about the bow and arrow type, but yes, the bow looks good on you. Alright. Oh, I might have clicked out of the window. There we go. Juror number 2, do you think perhaps that this could be one such novel and alternative? From someone, it's definitely not from me. I guess so. That would make sense. Well, I'm not allowed near school zones anymore. Well, what do you mean? A bow as in a bow and arrow, or bow as in a bow tie, or a bow like Minnie Mouse wears?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
An alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back.
What are you talking about?
We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garib's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it was equally possible that some other objects besides the book... That's the pun. Wait, you get holidays forever? Huh? I'm confused. Could have found its way from the Garib household to the street below.
What's that now?
Oh, you're meaning... Okay, I understand the context now. My brain was trying to figure out what was being said. After all, Mrs. Garib could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. I got it now. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
What do you insinuate now, you little beanpole?
I'm beginning to think that, whatever since the true origins of the book came to light, perhaps she had a feeling this might be what happened.
Now listen here, you Eastern... whatever the heck that is. As the foreman of this jury, I demand a straight answer. You give us this yarn about some other objects making its way out of the house, but what was it?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. That was a bold accusation to make, but I haven't had any real evidence to back it up. But I'm certain that at the very least, this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. The other object that found its way from the Garib household to the scene of the crime was... Bum-ba-da-da! Here you go!
That!
Wow. Juror number 4, Mrs. Garib.
What now?
He's about to have his... Yeah, I guess so. He's going to. And against a newbie.
It's just like Miles. I feel a tear coming down my eye. History does repeat itself.
Yeah, I didn't expect it either, but it fits. I must apologize in advance for this. But I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Good lord, counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was launched into the victim's back, man!
Yes, it does. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garib were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garib was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. Yes, he said man. I'm not... That's what he put there. And a window that had been opened to clear the smoke, through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene.
You can't seriously believe that the book was found in the victim's grasp!
I don't know, I guess he was chill.
Are you saying that it flew out of the window across the street to land neatly in her hand?
Huh? Even my missus ain't got a name like that.
Well, she was apparently not that far from your ear, so... She got freaking good aim, don't she? Yes, I admit there are many details we don't yet understand, but that's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end, not right now.
Oh my.
Look. Mrs. Garib, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not?
Oh,
I think that was part of her husband's stuff. Yeah. Yeah. My lord.
I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam. Yay! She changed her mind! Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman!
Yay! I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, man. Mind.
Thought you said man.
Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents.
One, da, da, da. Yay!
4-2.
We did it!
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruto.
So as the recess of the defense's summatation examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. And someone falsely accused because she cared more about throwing crap at her husband than a fire she started. Yeah, that is true. But obviously, I'm assuming that we are not done yet because the victim hasn't woken up, so we haven't gotten a statement from her. So I'm assuming she's gonna wake up.
2 jurors called guilty, against 4 now calling it innocent.
Sage will name sleep beneath the ocean floor that will wake him. Huh. Well, that's an interesting story.
Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue.
Yeah, we saved him for now. Maybe. The poor lady. A poor book and then received the knife in the back. Yeah, maybe that's what happened. Now,
Then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed?
oh yeah, he's been very quiet. Oh no, he's pouring his wine again.
This trial is rapidly descending into a farce.
Well, prove me wrong then.
Prove me wrong.
The quart wine, the first few sips are bitter enough. But what follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter.
If I may, Lord Van Zeeks, the defense has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened.
Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? The defense argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond, but let me start by insisting that you must all familiarize yourself with the better relative positions of those places being discussed.
What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Are you gonna say that they were too far away? Because she was right across the street. Oh my gosh. What the frick? That makes Jigglypuffs feel less friendly if the sacrifices are necessary. What are you meaning?
It should ought to be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garib household was a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garib house scene is 15 yards.
Are you saying that that Mrs. Garib does not have a good aim of throwing things? Is that what you're saying, Van Zeeks? Oh my gosh. Liam Worthy. Oh boy. Yes. Yeah, great.
Let me see. 15 yards, that's around 14 meters.
It's just like Miles. Oh boy. Well, here's the thing. I like Miles Edgeworth because he came around. This guy is, I think, Miles turned up to like a 10. Times 10. At least I think so. Wouldn't you guys say that he's like Miles? But a lot more dramatic. 14 meters. Oh, that's a little further than I imagined.
And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having pertinent significance.
Times 100, yeah.
The fourth book was found in the victim's clutches.
You haven't seen the... Oh, have you not seen... I played the, Well, if you're interested... I do have a playlist of the Ace Attorney trilogy. So, if that's interesting, I do have that in a playlist if you wanted to see Miles. So let's just look him up online. His name is Miles Edgeworth. He's the one that Lou really likes shipping Phoenix with all the time. But he's not the only one. I think a lot of people do. I don't think it's a bad relationship. It would be nice if it was confirmed. It'd be interesting.
In other words, the smothering book, wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards.
It's not a ship, it's a canon event. I wish it was completely a canon event. We haven't got complete confirmation. Well, eventually we're gonna play Miles's Ace Attorney Investigations, so you'll get to meet Miles then as well, so. We just haven't gotten to that yet. I have this game, I have Apollo is in there, and Miles. I don't know if I should do... I probably might do Miles then Apollo, I'm not sure. And then what? I forget what the other thing is. I can't remember the other ones right now. My brain is forgetting. Because there's something that's important later in the timeline that I can't remember the thing where Athena becomes part of the story. I can't remember the game.
To land on the opposing side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb. Is that your final conclusion, my learned and deluded friend? And did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to a plunge into the middle of the victim's back? This fantasy is somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think.
Well, things happen if we're gonna be honest.
Even those pathetic serial detective stories have more believable plots.
Ah! And down we go again. There's nothing I can say to that.
That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice.
Good on you, Susato. Susato-san is great. I'm liking her more and more as the case goes by. Miss Susato.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they?
How dare he? Yep, that's Miles, alright. I told you he was the Miles equivalent. He looks similar to Miles as well, which is also just... he might be related to Miles. We don't know. But he has that kind of look to him that gives me the, well, he's probably related to, the Von Karmas, if anything. So, if he's like the ancestor of the Von Karmas, I could see that because Miles gets raised by Manfred. He's got that Miles stare. Yeah. Maybe let's pick our battles here.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As your judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense. Yes, go ahead.
The prosecution may consider the idea of a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible.
Oh, what do you have to say to that, Van Zinks?
To that end, juror number 4, Miss Joan Garib must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
Oh. Oh.
Sights alive! Cross-examination of a juror!
Well, it makes sense, does it not? She is related in some degree to the case. Whether she threw the knife by accident or not, the book ended up out there.
Order, order, order! Well, this is highly irregular.
But I don't think it's against the rules, right? It's not against the law.
It's unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
Objection!
Oh! The bottle's gone.
And unnecessary.
I think we really made him angry. He has no wine anymore.
Lord Van Zeeks?
I'm scared.
There are 8 witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. If my learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it, then both a burnt book and a jackknife must have been thrown through the sky before these couple's eyes. And we must assume that they would be able to testify accordingly.
You're just picking and choosing.
What say you, witnesses?
Oh, is he gonna talk? Yes, sir. Constable Rolly Beat, reporting for duty, sir.
Well, good morning, officer.
Sorry for dozing until now. Sir, I haven't slept for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir.
Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies.
Patricia, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, Rolly, my hero, you make me swoon.
Okay.
Very well, I hereby reject the defense's request
Oh,
and order the witnesses in the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events.
Yes, sir. Traumatized me. Well, that's Termina in an alternate universe of what happened to the world, so you know. What, their thing? Yeah. Trust me, I don't read certain things. Are you kidding me? There are certain things I'm not gonna read because nope, that's not my thing. But yeah. They can become. Well, Rolly is not acting that way. He's too tired for that stuff.
This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garib. Believe me, London Bobby's good for his word. You see, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garib house are top hinge casements.
obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
He was asleep in the snow last time I remember. Didn't she say that? So how would he could have missed it? Is it the moon long enough? How can he gaze at the moon if he's got his face in the snow?
I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
Excuse me, that is some bullcrap that I just heard.
Well, this is called startling top hinge casement windows.
That detail was not in the police report, Constable.
Oh yes, I'm sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy.
You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable.
No, sir.
Sorry, but... What exactly is top hinged casement windows? Yeah, what does that mean?
And you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend.
They don't use windows like they do in the West. Give him a break. They have different types of windows in Japan during this time. What do you mean? I think he should have learned some of the cultural stuff related to London when he was on his way here, but yeah, no. I think learning about windows is the least thing he needed to know on a lawyer exchange program. Of course. Sorry.
I found it, Mr. Naruto. Cast your mind back to the window in Mr. and Mrs. Garib's room.
You have him from the closet. He should have. Yeah, I'm just saying, he should have learned. I don't know if... Well, he... At least when, Cosmo let him out where he had light. I'm in the adventure. Okay. Sure. Alright, I'll try. Do. Oh! What the frick is this? Is that potato? What is that? What is that? Do you guys have any idea what that is? What is that? Are they potatoes? It can't be potatoes. It looks like a pine cone. But that's a giant pine cone.
So the window's open in order to allow air to circulate in the house. But as it is a top-hinged casement window, it swings open alongside the upper edge, you see.
Maybe big treats? That is possible.
I'm glad you rectified your ignorance. A casement window, most prominent feature, is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount.
It prevents it opening? This is all new to me. News to me.
Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife would have been thrown through the open window, it would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below.
Hold up, I'll look it up, the English word. It's just so weirdly sad. I don't know, the more I'm staring at it. Pinecone pig. But it don't have legs. It can't be the pinecone pig, it don't have legs. But look at it. I can move out of the way more. But there's no, like... It's not connected to anything, so I'm kind of like... It's weirdly just there. It could be potatoes. I don't think it's onions. What other things would it be? Croquettes. Apparently they're not an English word. Yeah, I know what croquettes are. Aren't they a French word? In English, we use croquettes. There's no, like, English change of the word. We say croquettes. But yeah, some words we use from... I'm pretty sure it's a French word, since you as French would know. But yeah, we just use that word. I don't know if I'm saying it the same way you do, but yeah, croquettes. No. Not croquettes. My brain is... I hate the U sound sometimes. Choquettes? Choquettes? Sounds like the Chabettes. If you know where that's from, good for you guys. Choquettes.
You see the problem, then? Good, your education in Windows is complete. There was never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road.
Close enough. Hey, you heard me trying. I was trying.
That is, unless the window pane has been shattered, something we discounted already.
That can't be.
Did you see that, Rolly? The young Japanese man just collapsed in agony.
Nope, I'm not reading that. No thanks. This feels weird. Can you guys just leave? Like, not be in this thing? I'm like, what? Oh boy. Moving on. How is this happening? I don't know, Ryanosuke. I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my arguments have been destroyed.
Counsel, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination.
My lord. Oh good. Another desperate situation. That's the right way. Ha 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 ha. Horrible pun. Okay, his report. First, but now it's weird. Yes, it was kind of an adorable couple moment at first, but now it's getting very awkward. You see, the windows on the top floor of the Garib house are top hinged. Or top casement. Which you mean they don't fully open, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
They're just a little bit of air through the house, you see, so they're restricted as to how much they open.
And therefore, anything thrown out the window from inside the room would simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. For clarity, allow me to mark the map.
Oh, aren't you being sweet?
Here is the location where the objects would have fallen.
Yes, directly opposite the scene of the crime on the other side of the road. Rather wide road.
Would it have been so hard for somebody to mention this top hinge casement thing before? Well, I have another question for you, Constable. And what would that be, sir? How do you even know? Why would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garib's house is furnished with? Yeah, how do you know that?
Ah, well, sir, that's very simple. You see, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Excuse me.
Wasn't he working and then asleep? Do you have something to add, Mrs. Beat? Sorry? You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering. That's all. We really were so lucky.
Lucky? What do you mean?
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were just so lucky it didn't happen on Broly's beat. It was so close, you see.
Oh, I hadn't realized.
Oh yes, that street, Briar Road, that's the boundary between Broly's beat and the next one. Is that right?
Huh, so is she contradicting him? Constable Beat.
Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with the interviewing the occupants of the Garib household yesterday. Their house is on my beat, you see, sir.
That really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garib household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garib's house? Yes, ma'am. The pavement on the side of the road is part of my beat.
I see. I was unaware of that.
I just think if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for the meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners.
Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work.
For having an accident happen just on the other side of the road, and he was like, oh, it's not my problem, I'll just call someone else to deal with it. Wow, so nice.
Don't you think so?
That must be it, Pat. That must be it.
think perhaps we should make sure we have the information officially on record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruto. I'll take care of it immediately.
Pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat, the border of which runs down the middle of Briar Road.
And now it's my turn, I think.
Okay.
Hold it!
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, but Broly and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
Sorry?
The star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
Wow, this is getting so much worse as it goes on.
Through the mist, I guess, in the fog. Can it guide you to to answer the question? If a flaming book had been cut across the sky in front of us, it would have lit up like a shooting star.
And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it. Let Broly be an inspector, I would have said. 3 times at least.
Of course, with the smog and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars.
In short,
Are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? So there was smog in the sky. You couldn't see stars.
Yes, sir, that is correct, sir. As sure as the night sky in London is starless, sir.
It certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
and then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
I did leave the scene to go fetch help, but my trusty was there to undisturbed. Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer, is that right?
That's right, yes. If it had been on Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course.
Don't feel bad, you can't expect to know the location of every police box at every beat.
So Rolly told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way.
I'm glad that he likes her flaws, I guess. I'm not reading that. You guys can see it for yourself. In plain English. I'm not reading that. Now they're... okay. Oh, please.
So I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. Like I said, my brother was at the scene the whole time, making sure nothing was disturbed.
He was off duty at the time, of course, but a true Bobby is never really off duty, sir.
Alright, I didn't take my... I don't believe that for a dang second.
Hold it!
Nothing to report.
That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time, never looked away for a second.
Uh-huh. As your eyes are slowly closing in front of my eyeballs right now.
No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. I swear to that on the yard's honor, sir.
Really? That seems a little strange.
Beg your pardon, sir? Strange, sir. Seems altogether regular to me.
This burnt copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garib household. So the question remains, how did it find its way into the hands of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time?
Aha, could it be a different copy, sir? One that just happened to be burnt as well?
Huh? Are you crazy? Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As you can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder.
Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene.
Is that so? There's something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. The two mysteries how the knife ended up in her back, and how the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them. So the last statement is important, but I don't know what to use.
So sorry, Mr. Naruto. I have no right to speak out.
What do you mean?
I requested the cross-examination of Mrs. Karib without consulting you, even if the judge did deny me.
Oh, I see. Well, I agree with you. We do need a testimony from Mrs. Karib if we're ever going to get the truth of this matter.
Do you really think so?
Well, think about it. No matter how far it is across the road or how the window opens, Mr. Karib's book found its way to the scene of the crime somehow, didn't it?
You're right.
And then there was Mrs. Karib's reaction to me showing her the knife. The woman's hiding something. I'm sure of it.
You're right again.
We need to use this cross-examination to uncover more clues. We'll get to the bottom of this one way or another, I swear.
Yes.
The confidence. Alright, so the last statement... is the important piece, but now I gotta think about it. The victim remained conscious, saying when impaired, blah, blah, blah. Pavement of Briar Road, East Side. Okay. But it says that Rolly Beat is the reporting officer, though. It was where the victim was found, just outside the beat. I'm assuming this is somehow important. I don't get it, but... details young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound to the back. Yeah, I don't know.
Objection.
Okay, that's wrong. You can tell by his face. I don't get it. I don't understand what I need. They meant him falling asleep in the snow. They did, but it's not like I have that in here. I'm just trying to... because they did say he was asleep in the snow, but that's not what I can use to prove anything. This is all the evidence I have. Let me read this again. Well, think about it. Mr. Reed found his way to the scene. You're right. And then there was Mrs. Greaves' reaction. I'm gonna read what the guy said in the last statement again. Let me read. Alright. So... he had his eyes open the entire time. Nothing approached the scene, nothing was removed. I swear that... really? Okay, it remains. How did it find its way there? Could it be a different copy? Okay. Well, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. The book was in her hand. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. The book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. So do I put the book? Do I have to look at the book again? Let me just see, does anything... I keep looking at this book and every time I can't believe how badly burned it is. I can't believe what a terrible waste it is. The more I look at the damage, the more I'm sure it must have happened very recently too. Book damaged by fire very recently. Why does that seem significant somehow? Okay, so that's the only thing about the book. There's nothing else... Wait. Oh, the title? Okay. The Lion's Pride, that's a strange... I think I've heard of a book by that name before. Okay, so that's all the information from that. All I can do is magnifying glass these two images. Alright. That's still the same. I'm just trying to think about this. A photograph of a scene taken by a policeman just after the incident occurred. Updated. What do you mean updated? I don't even think Lou would know. That's the thing. I'm trying to think. Genuinely, what would be the answer? Because I'm genuinely like, huh? Alright, let's see. Why are you up there? Go over there. Alright. Let's see. I can get through this one thing and it tells me what chapter is this? Chapter 4. Well, episode 4, probably part 3. It's part 2 or 3. Blah 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 that we've seen. Okay, this is before that point. So I want... Wow, we're really almost done with the case. Wow, we are really close. Okay. Alright. Wait. Where did I... Okay. No, blah, blah, blah. Oh! Okay. Alright. So, I haven't pressed the first statement. I get something from the first statement. Okay, that helps. I did not press the first statement, though. So that explains it. Okay. How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. And the answer is this.
has noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty.
He showed us that before, didn't he?
Did he? I can't say I remember. I do. To patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. It's what the job's all about. And that's why I stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you a Bobby's good for his word, while rubbing my tired eyes admittedly. Sir.
Okay. Alright then, this is so awkward. I'm glad I'm in the far corner. As far away from as possible from this. No, none of this is what I meant. I meant, how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Grebe?
Oh, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir.
I did. Yes, well, so could you answer the question? That was a waste of time, then.
Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my abilities, sir. There is a surprise reason why Mr. and Mrs. Grebe's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. But before I get into that, sir, just one thing.
Yes?
I'm very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. So I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles.
I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I only just arrived here.
So to that end, sir, I'll be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Thank you. I'll try. Constable Beat's warrant card has been entered in the court record. Give me. Hang on. A policeman will strive to preserve the peace within his allotted beat. Patrolling officer is expected to walk 20 miles around his beat every day for the furtherance of community relations. Any crime fall under the jurisdiction of the beat in which they are discovered. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives. Can I ask you something? Please, Mr. Lawyer?
Oh, yes, of course. What is it?
You're doubting us, aren't you? I do tell. I can tell.
What? I wasn't really. I mean, what's she doing?
Please, just because I'm a...
Whoa. Wow, we're playing that card now, aren't we?
Ooh. Boy! You might see me as the wife of a policeman, but I'm a woman of my word, I am.
I really don't remember ever suggesting that I doubted you. Since the beginning of the trial. Yeah.
No excuses. I don't want to hear it. My voice will be heard. My lord, you'll let me speak, won't you?
Yes, Mrs. Beat, I will allow you to supplement your testimony if you so desire. If you so desire, golly. Golly gee willikers. Sometimes the path of least resistance is the sage one.
Well, you probably have a wife too, don't you, Judge? That was a very loud mutter.
I heard that. That Japanese man thinks a policewoman's wife's work counts for nothing, does he?
No, you're just frickin' not confident in yourself. What? Your expressions? Yes. Would you like this expression? She's insane. She's insane.
Genuinely insane.
Like, what the frick? What the frick is she on about? Very much is. Yeah.
Well, watch out, sir. I might let you get away with something like that, but my Rolly won't. Well, Rolly's asleep right now, so I don't know what he's gonna do. Duly noted, Mrs. Beat. Please, I humbly ask you to continue.
What could she possibly be about to say, I wonder?
I know what I saw. My eyes never let me down. My sense of direction is a little off sometimes, though.
Hold it!
Mrs. Beat, nobody's questioning what you've told us.
I saw it, I did. That evening, I saw it clearly. That little Easter man with whiskers and the funny curved back, slinking away from the scene.
Uh-huh.
I know what I didn't see as well. I didn't see any flaming books or knives flying through the sky.
All very clear. You also mentioned something about having a poor sense of direction?
Oh, yes, well, that's a little embarrassing, really. I'm always ending up at the wrong place when I've made arrangements to meet Rolly. He gets ever so cross.
Oh, he has something to say?
Excuse me.
Constable Beat, is there a problem? No, sir. No problem, sir. For someone who can't... What the... That's too far. That's not her fault. That's not her fault. That's the failure of her own country. That's not her fault. Too far. Too far. Does your wife's remarks just now bring something to mind, perhaps? Oh, well, in a way, sir. Yes, sir. I was just remembering that the same thing happened that evening is all. You mean Mrs. Beat lost her way on the night of the incident? Well, you see, I sent her off to find a police box in the next beat over from mine. It won't happen often, I promise. Okay, I'm just saying, it was too far. That is not her fault. That's her country failing her, not her own abilities. Because if her country doesn't give her that opportunity, that's not on her. And she's speaking her mind. Whether her opinions are correct or not is a whole different matter. But that's not her fault. She was gone a far bit longer than what I was expecting. I thought she'd be back inside 10 minutes. But she was gone a good 15.
But there was a reason I was so long was because of the bouquet, silly.
The bouquet? Sorry, what bouquet are you talking about?
Oh, it's a present for our wedding anniversary. Rolly's so romantic. He saved up for it with farthings and half pennies he found in the gutter while doing his rounds.
Yes, how romantic.
I forgot all about it until just now. What about you, Rolly?
Oh, yes. But that was just between us. No talking about to anyone else. You have to promise.
Oh, he told her not to say anything. Wow, he's a lot more conniving than we expected.
Really? Oh.
What was that all about? Constable Beat looked very troubled. Obviously troubled during that exchange.
I'm afraid I can't offer any useful insight, Mr. Naruto. But I'm quite sure one thing. We have to ask Mrs. Beat about the bouquet.
Mrs. Beat, the bouquet you just mentioned. I'd like you to add details about it to your testimony, please.
Oh, really? Yes, I'd love to.
You can't say anything. It's cross-examination time and it's related to the case. So, Van Zeeks, you're gonna stay there, and you can cross your arms all you want, but just be there in silence. What happened was I dropped my bouquet and ended up losing my way.
Hold it!
You mean you dropped the bouquet at the scene of the crime?
Yes, that's right. Oh, I was so upset. When we ran over and saw it was a woman with a knife in her back, I was so shocked I dropped the bouquet Rolly gave me. It was in a dark spot where the streetlights weren't casting any light, so I didn't notice it at first.
Oh, nothing changed at the scene, did it? Rolly? And then you went to the police box to report it to the policeman whose beat it was on?
Yes, and I came back to the scene together with the other constable, you see. That's when I spotted my bouquet again. But the funny thing was, when I went to pick it up, it was nowhere near the victim's body at all.
Huh. Did Rolly messed with the crime scene, did he now? Wow, he really is a lot more conniving than I thought, times 2. He moved the bouquet.
In case you need a reminding, Mrs. Beat, the victim is not deceased.
My gosh.
I was all flustered for a moment before I heard a voice call me from the other side of the road.
Your husband, presumably?
That's right. Silly me, I'd gotten over to the wrong side of the street. Although, I'm going to blame the bouquet this time. Can't think of how it got there, I really can't.
So the bouquet somehow moved from one side of the Briar Road to the opposite.
Curious indeed.
So wait. So she doesn't understand directions. So, does that mean they were on the same side as where the body was found? My brain is trying to figure this out.
Isn't it? But the worst of it is I forgot to pick the bouquet up again when we left the scene. That beautiful rose Rolly bought me with that change from the gutter he spent so long collecting.
By bouquet.
By bouquet, do you perhaps mean this sorry, solitary rose?
Okay, you don't have to be mean about that. She cares about that.
Oh, yes, that's it. That's the bouquet Rolly bought for me for our anniversary, with odd bits of change he found in the gutter.
Yeah, I'm like, that was something he used his hard-earned money to give to her and she loves. He shouldn't call it like that. Golly, if the person who received the gift thinks it's great, leave it alone. Don't be mean. Maybe just call it a rose.
Tell us, Lord of Antiques, where did you come by the flower?
According to the report by the police officer in charge of the crime scene investigation, it was found on the edge of the pavement in front of the Garib household.
In front of the Garib's house?
Though it wasn't noticed until the morning as it lay where the street lamps cast no light. It was believed to be of no relevance to the case since it was found on the opposite side of the thoroughfare. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you. Can I have it back now, please?
No, I think for good measure this rose should be added to the court record as evidence.
Oh.
I feel bad for her, but this is important evidence. A present for Patricia Beat from her husband Rolly. The shock of seeing the stabbed victim caused Mrs. Beat to drop the rose where she stood.
But it's a symbol. I want it back after the trial, do you hear me? I want it back.
Good grief, rest assured that I shall do my very best not to forget, Mrs. Beat.
I just feel slightly bad. But yeah, nothing. So now we got our answer. Hey, in this instance, she didn't do anything wrong.
Objection.
I think her husband did. Finally finished it. Well, that's cool. You claim, Constable Beat, that there was nothing to report in the 15 or so minutes you were guarding the scene. But that cannot be. Well, we're almost finished with this case, too.
What do you mean to say?
In your testimony just now, Mrs. Beat, you explained to the court that when you arrived back at the scene of the crime with the policeman assigned to that beat. Huh. Interesting. The bouquet you had dropped at the victim's side was no longer anywhere nearby.
Objection!
Yes, on the opposite side of Briar Road to where the victim was attacked. Considering the size of this meager bouquet, if a single sorry blossom can be so described, no doubt it was blown in the wind across the street, back into the gutter where it belongs.
Wow, leave the rose alone.
Meager?
Objection!
But if that were the case, why did Constable Beat not testify to the fact? True, why didn't he say that?
No one else approached the scene and nothing was removed from it. Constable Beat swore to that on Scotland Yard's honor.
What are they even on about now? Oh, to explain in a simple thing. How do I explain this? I'm gonna use my mouth to explain this. So this is where the body was. Apparently they were walking this way. And Mrs. B dropped the flower that her husband got for their anniversary next to the body. The next morning, the police, in the daytime, found the rose over here. And Rowley, the constable, said that nothing was changed about the scene at all. Nothing was moved or changed on the scene until the other constable arrived. So obviously, he lied. Well, you say the wind, but the point of the matter is he lied about it. Why didn't he say something? If it's such a meager thing, why didn't he say something that, oh, my wife dropped the bouquet next to the victim? I shouldn't say the body, because she's alive. But next to her, next to Olive Green, but it moved. Why didn't he say that? That's what's weird. Why didn't he say that? That's the point of suspicion, is, yeah, the wind could have moved it, but why didn't he say something about it? Because it's important that, oh, something was there. Yeah, it might have been just the wind, but isn't it weird that he didn't say anything?
But the bouquet belonged to me. It has nothing to do with the case. That's why Riley didn't mention it, I'm sure.
No, because sadly, it's not only your bouquet we're talking about here. More than one thing in this case is mysteriously the wrong way around.
What are you talking about?
Think about it. Besides Mrs. Beat's bouquet, there's Mr. Garieb's book. Are you saying he moved the body? Did he move the body? Wait, so the bouquet didn't move. The body was moved. He moved the body so he didn't have to worry about dealing with it. Because this side of the road is his beat. This is someone else's. So when his wife went to go get to the police box, he moved the body so that he wouldn't have to be late for his anniversary with his wife. Oh my gosh. Whoa, it explains everything. Because if it can only fall downward, and it ended up in her hand, in Olive Green, the victim's hand, that's the only way it could happen. He got his priorities. Does he now? He just broke the law. Mr. Garieb's copy of The Lion's Pride, which was thrown out of the window by his wife, would have struck the pane of the casement window and landed here on the west side of the street. And yet, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in the victim's hand. Meanwhile, according to the testimony we've heard, Mrs. Beat's bouquet should have been dropped here at the scene of the crime on the east side of the street. But in fact, it was actually found here on the opposite side of the road in front of Mr. and Mrs. Garieb's house. There's no logical explanation for those things, unless someone deliberately moved them. Oh my gosh. Oh, you've been gone a while? They've been doing some weird... It's been freaking weird romantic gestures that's been going on here. They've been saying some weird stuff.
What are you trying to say? The way you're talking, it sounds like you think my Rolly's done something wrong. Don't you listen to a word that scrawny lawyer says. Withering on about books and bouquets, why should we care?
No, you said that it was creepy. Nope. Not saying it. Nope.
Withering on about books and bouquets, why should we care? It's nitpicking, that's what it is.
Oh, good. Mrs. Garib's come around. You might call it nitpicking, Mrs. Garib. But deliberately meddling with the scene of a crime is a criminal offense. It's called, Cringe doesn't mean that. It just means, why are they saying that? How do I... Okay, fine. Let's see if I can find one example in here. Let me see. I can't find it in this one. It doesn't go all that far. That would be nice to help. To explain on the simplest way, they like to use the words, like pet names to each other, and they kind of talked down to Ryunosuke while they were being romantic and calling him stupid. First of all, another thing was... Oh yeah, and something like that. Yes, does that make sense now? You wanted to know!
Tampering, Mr. Naruto.
But the person responsible for this tampering cannot admit to it for a very subtle but a compelling reason.
Objection!
Tampering? You barely heard the term before.
Well, there. There, Paul just told you a pretty much close enough thing. That's the close enough thing to what was said. It's kind of like curiosity killed the cat, but yeah. Point is, if you read what, the second quote that Paul put in there, that is accurate to what was said. So yeah. It's so weird. It was so strange. It was so weird. I don't even know what to say. Blah blah blah. You've barely heard the term before. Okay.
Tell us, my learned friend, who could have possibly have had cause to carry out such an elaborate deception?
It's gross. It was... I looked at it like, what the frick? It's not even just ew, it's like, what the heck are you talking about? Yes, there is someone who tampered with the scene of the crime that evening. All the evidence and all the testimony points to that one particular person.
Counsel, I must demand that you substantiate this conjecture. Who are you saying is responsible for tampering with the scene of the crime?
Take that!
Yes, that is probably accurate. Obviously, there's one person in here, one person it could have been. Constable Rolly Beat, it was you.
What? A policeman, a member of Scotland Yard.
You've never had this before? You poor judge. You have not seen the world.
What nonsense! Why would my Rolly do something like that? There's no straighter than my husband. No Bobby's works more tirelessly for the people of London.
Mrs. Beat, You said in your testimony that your husband asked you to go to a nearby police box to fetch the officer on duty. The 15 minutes that you were absent from the scene is the only opportunity anyone had to tamper with it.
You're making it up. It's all nonsense. It's all lies. What about the Japanese man with the whiskers? I bet it was him. He did it.
Objection!
You said he ran away. If that was true, Constable Beat would have seen him do it.
Oh. And forgive me for pointing it out, but when you dropped your bouquet, Mrs. Beat, it was after the defendant had fled the scene. Well...
Objection!
First you make accusations about the landlord and his wife, and now you incriminate a policeman as well. Your accusations lack one very important thing. You claim the crime scene was tampered with. But there is only one reason anyone would commit such a reckless crime: to hide something.
That's right, he's right. But my husband and I just happened to be there, that's all. So why would we have anything to hide? Doesn't make sense.
You've offered no motive for this alleged tampering.
Excuse me.
And until you do, your accusations are nothing but empty threats.
I already know the reason. Constable Beat had a very good reason for wanting to tamper with the scene of the crime. That's the key to this entire affair.
Mr. Naruto, have you managed to solve this mystery?
Counsel, you have made a very serious accusation against a London police officer. If you are mistaken, I'm sure I need not point out that your reputation as a lawyer will be irrevocably damaged. With that stark warning in mind, will you now explain to the court the motive for this alleged tampering?
Yes, my lord. Constable Beat's motive for tampering with the crime scene was to hide where the victim fell. We're assuming that the knife fell onto her back from the window. Where the victim fell to the ground. This is why this Bobby had to cover up at all costs. What?
Where the victim fell? You mean where she was attacked? What are you talking about? We told you at the very start, didn't we? On the pavement of Briar Road, we saw it happen, remember? It was right here, as if anyone didn't already know.
That's certainly what everybody has been led to believe. But in fact, that isn't where the victim was stabbed at all.
What? What?
Alright, I'm beginning
to wonder where this tumultuous trial will end, Counsel.
If that is your assertion, then the court is dying to know, my Nipponese friend. Where are you proposing the crime actually took place that evening?
like around here.
Take that!
But that's...
On the opposite side of the road?
I don't understand. Someone's not asleep anymore. On the evening in question, Mr. Garib's book fell directly down from the opening window above, and your bouquet, Mrs. Beach, never moved at all. What did move was the scene of the crime itself.
Good gracious!
Objection!
Perhaps you haven't been listening to the ample testimony the court has heard. But these witnesses both saw the moment the attack took place.
That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 5 o'clock in the evening and already dark. There was the typical London fog on the ground. When you saw the incident unfold and ran to the victim's aid, that was actually on the west side of Briar Road.
No, that's not true. It can't have been.
Constable Beat then arranged for you to be absent for a while by sending you for help. And during the 15 minutes you were away, he transplanted the crime scene. He moved all the things shown in this print. The victim herself, the 4 books. He moved everything, in fact, to the pavement on the east side of Briar Road.
Extraordinary!
But the constable overlooked one thing.
What? What did he overlook?
Okay, I presume? Exactly.
The prosecution told the court just a few minutes ago about the discovery of the rose bouquet. Lord Van Zeke said it wasn't noticed until the morning as it laid where the street lamps cast no light.
Yes, it could be seen in the dark, obviously.
Which is why it was the only... Which is why it was only the bouquet, and that was found in its original position on the pavement on the west side of Briar Road. And that is the defense's theory about what really happened that evening. How do you respond, Constable Royley Beat?
Well, I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to nod off again, but I haven't slept properly in a month. Did I miss anything important?
Oh, Rolly. It isn't true, is it? What the lawyer said is all lies, isn't it? I know it is, because you're the most upstanding, righteous man I know.
I had a dream. A terrible dream. All the things I did that night. Everything's coming out. Everything exposed. Only, it seems, it wasn't a dream at all. Good golly!
So he admits it.
Order! What on earth is the meaning of all this?
Oh, Rolly, why? Why would you do something like this? Moving a corpse is a criminal offense, isn't it?
Well, one, he did not move a corpse. The woman is alive. He used the sleep deprivation card. Yep. Wishing the victim dead should be one too.
Constable, explain yourself. Why would you do this? As a respected member of Scotland Yard, your duty is to protect the good people of London Town.
He was tired.
I can't say, sir. What?
Yep, he did.
I really am ever so sorry about all this. For damaging the Yard's reputation. For everything.
I have a possible explanation for why, on that particular evening, Constable Beat felt compelled to move the scene of the crime. I can think of one reason.
What? How can you possibly know? You, a foreigner, presuming to understand the mind of a Scotland Yard policeman.
Well, he's the one who said it from his own mouth, so, you know. Is that really that hard to believe?
And yet, Lord Van Zeke, it is this foreigner who has uncovered the startling truth of the matter thus far.
Ha ha!
I believe it would be beneficial to the court to hear this extraordinary young lawyer's theory. Counsel for the defense, if you please.
Yes, my lord.
Now then, I think you've had better show us some evidence.
At once, my lord. England, Japan. Makes no difference where you come from, human emotions are the same. Yeah, the heart of a man sickeningly love-strucken. Mm-hmm. And I think I have a fairly good idea of the feeling behind this man's actions.
What gives away the motive for Constable Beat's unthinkable actions?
I'm just gonna save. Obviously, I'm gonna finish the trial, and then we will, the next time I play this, we'll go through, like, the after bits. Because it's late. This is the piece of evidence here, you see?
I'm sorry to say that I don't, Counsel.
Objection!
Did I mess up? What would you like to know, my learned friend? Oh, boy! What would it be, then? Oh, is it this?
Take that!
Probably this. Okay, there you go. I realize that I'm a foreigner in this land, and I have only just arrived from Japan, which is why all this information about London's so-called bobbies is completely new to me. I've learned that, though honorable, patrolling the beat is the most demanding work in the world, for example.
Keeping the peace, looking after the citizens on his beat is all kinds of ways. There's no doubt that the young Bobby's charged with a great deal to do each day, certainly.
But for Constable Beat, the day in question was special.
Special? How?
On account of this bouquet, my lord.
Oh yes, it was our very first wedding anniversary.
Yeah, it was a very important day. He didn't want it to be taken away from him. His wife. Constable Beat had worked so hard to be able to afford the simple gift for his wife, and was so looking forward to taking her out for a celebratory meal.
When he and Mrs. Beat stumbled upon a crime along Briar Road. When he saw the shadowy figure through the fog collapsed on the pavement ahead of them, what must have gotten through the man's mind?
But sir, I was just on that one particular day I was looking forward to celebrating my wedding anniversary. Mrs. B put up with a lot being married to a bobby like me. Wanted to show my dear wife how much I care.
And that's just kind of sad. This is the warrant card that Constable Beat offered to lend to me earlier. Inside, among the rules for patrolling policemen, it says, when a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
Uh-huh!
If not, he could have delayed the fancy meal. Well, I'm assuming with how much he gets worked, he would be working all night. Like, he wouldn't be allowed to leave. Constable Beat. Is that, or is that not the reason why you moved the whole scene of the crime that day?
Yes. Everything you said, it's all right.
So that's it. It was all to do with the boundary of your beat.
Oh. Exactly. To summarize, I don't think the restaurants would wait for you. That too, because if they had a reservation, that's another thing on top of it. The incident actually occurred on the Constable Beat's beat.
Good gracious! Constable, do you realize the gravity of what you have done? It's the first time since I've become a copper, that I'd ever cursed. God. Stay close to me, Pat. The criminal could still be lurking somewhere. As we ran over to the scene, I had every intention of doing my duty as a police officer. We've got to report this to the station as quickly as possible. But then it dawned on me. I realized where we were, where the victim was lying, and what that meant for me. When a crime is discovered on his beat, a policeman must assist with initial investigations and help detectives.
Why here? Why did this have to happen here? And why tonight, of all nights? Why?
It's a copper's job to guard the scene of the crime, so I told Pat she'd have to go to the nearest police box and fetch whoever was on duty there. It was then, when I opened my mouth to speak, it just came out. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my own mouth. This is the next beat to mine, Pat. So you have to go to the police box that covers it, turn right along Merscombe Street, and then...
It wasn't the marriage itself, he's exaggerating. I don't know. It was a big deal. It wasn't the actual wedding day, but it's still a big deal. I'm not excusing his behavior, but you can see where it came from.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Constable.
I just wanted... just that one night to take my Patricia out for dinner.
Oh, Rolly.
Just that one night.
You knew that if the incident was on your beat, your evening of celebration would be ruined. And so you decided to move the entire crime scene outside your jurisdiction. Just across the street, to the east pavement of Briar Road, which falls under the neighboring beat's care.
You see, I thought... Well, I was sure the victim was dead, you see. I beg your pardon?
Oh my gosh. So he was moving! Poor Olive Green, thinking she was dead. My gosh, this poor woman.
Well, of course he did. Otherwise, I really would have never left the poor woman on the freezing cold pavement.
That makes it worse. That's really bad. That's worse.
Oh, I see your meaning now.
Do you, Judge?
I think so.
That's why I missed the rose I bought for Pat.
Oh no, Rolly, that was all my fault. I should have never dropped it in such a dark place. I'm so sorry, Rolly.
But make sure that, yeah. No, she's alive. It's just the fact of the matter that he thought she was dead. And can you tell us, Constable, how many books did you move from the one side of the road to the other in total?
4 it was, yes, sir, definitely, 4.
3 of them dropped by Mr. Natsume, and the 4th being the one that fell from the window upstairs in the Garib's household, of course.
But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? When all the others were scattered haphazardly around, I mean.
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it.
How you found it? What do you mean? Then they took pictures of her, and then she was given care. Yes.
When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
You're sure it was this book, The London's Pride, that the victim was holding?
Oh yes, sir, no doubt about it, sir.
Interesting. It means it fell and she looked down, was like, oh, what's that? And picked it up. And that's why she fell over. That's why it's in such a weird spot.
I thought it was an open and shut case at the time, you see. There were only the 2 people at the scene, and Pat and me both saw it happen. However, which way you look at it, it had to be the fellow man who ran off who had done it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's so much worse, my gosh.
I thought, I couldn't see the harm, really. I didn't think moving it all over the road would make a jot of difference.
Oh, look, moving a body makes a lot of difference.
I suppose this is...
Well, a person, even then. The point is, you almost made her not be alive. Like, my gosh.
I suppose this is it for me now. I've had it.
My lord?
Yes, Lord Van Zeeks.
Just keeps going.
I believe that includes the cross-examination of the witnesses. Constable, you may withdraw.
Yes, sir.
Moving an unconscious... Yeah.
Mr. Prosecutor, sir, what will become of my Rolly? What will happen to him?
For now, you are free to go home. The police will contact you in due course.
Please, don't punish my husband. This is all my fault.
No, it isn't. You just dropped a rose. You did what you thought was the good thing to go to the police box because that's what your husband told you to do. Because he was a constable.
It's because I'm always whining at him for coming home late.
There's the fact he almost got an innocent man locked up. Yeah, that too.
Leave it now, Pat. Let's go home. I'm tired.
Well, at least he's telling her it's enough. Yeah.
All right, then.
One last thing, Constable.
So?
Let this be a lesson to you. In a criminal investigation, every detail matters, however insignificant it may seem to you.
At least they have a home. That is true. Yeah, they at least have a home.
Yes, sir. Carve that lesson in your mind.
and never again make the mistake of tampering with the scene of a crime.
Never again, sir? You mean to say...
Leave, now. This trial is not yet over.
Sir.
My gosh, can I finish this thing? It's so late!
Well, quite a startling revelation, I must say. Whoever thought of a third party transplanting the entire scene of the crime like that?
Indeed, my lord, and nevertheless, there are some infutable facts here, principally that the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime.
Oh, holy moly.
It's late, that's all I can tell you. It's very late. No, I disagree. Now that we know the true scene of the incident, there's someone else. Another person who could be responsible for the knife in the victim's back.
Forgive me for being presumptuous, but I believe the prosecution is probably well aware of this possibility already.
Lord Van Six, is this true?
Very well. Name the person if you will, if further investigation is warranted. The prosecution has no objections to the trial continuing.
Alright. You name this other person who could have perpetrated the crime scene. Yeah. Yes, it is now the next day. That's the joke.
Take that!
Let me just do this little bit, and I think I'll end for the night. There's a lot more than I thought. I'm not doing a whole cross-examination. Golly. The defense would like once again to request the cross-examination of a new witness, my lord.
Once again!
My assistant made the same request earlier. In other words, to finally reveal the truth about this case. Well, it's just in the fact of the matter is that Canada is in the same hemisphere, so time, like, I'm not saying it's the exact same time that he's saying in my friendly neighborhood. That is true, but it is late and I am done. I can't do voices for much longer. It's in order to finally reveal the truth about this case. It is imperative that we cross-examine juror number 4, Miss Joan Garib.
Me? Oh dearie me.
Objection!
I think my friendly neighborhood was a fever dream, I'm gonna be honest with you.
That request has already been denied.
Objection!
That was before, but the situation is very different now. Mrs. Garib, answer me this.
What do you want now, you little toad?
Wow. At the time of the incident, you were engaged in a violent argument with your husband, Mr. John Garib. In the course of the argument, a minor house fire was ignited, and to clear the smoke from the room, your husband opened a window that looks out over Briar Road.
Well, what of it?
You threw this book at your husband when he was cornered with his back against the window. Upon striking the panel of the open hinge casement window, the book plummeted straight down, finding its way to what we now know to be the true scene of the incident.
Yes, and as I said, what of it?
During the argument, you were beside yourself with rage. As such, you threw not just books, but anything you could lay your hands on. So, let me ask you one more time, Mrs. Garib. This knife, the one removed from the victim's back, have you really never laid eyes on it before?
Huh.
Yeah, it is a fever dream, that's all I could say. That stream was a fever dream.
I don't recall it.
Seriously?
I suppose to remember everything I picked up and threw at my husband. Anyway, the man over there is in all that regalia said members of the jury need testify, didn't he?
Conveniently, yes.
Objection!
Ooh.
No, I have no recollection of saying that at all.
Juror number 4. Ooh. Yes, that is also true.
Oh, make no mistake, your jurors are not special in any way. You are not immune to the judicial process.
Yep, he's angry.
You know something about this knife, madam. If you know something about this knife, madam, let the truth come out. But that's just a commoner or garden knife. It could have come from anywhere. We have several like that at home. If one went missing, how would you expect me to know?
What's that?
Are you joking? What are you saying? Please, Mrs. Garib.
She just frickin'...
No, you listen to me. I refuse to believe all this nonsense. I couldn't bear the thought that I'd injured someone. Do you hear? I couldn't bear it.
You had no problem throwing a book at your husband.
Oh, the poor woman. So yes, I want evidence. I want to see hard evidence. You're going to insist on this being my fault. You're going to have to prove to me that I threw that knife if that's what you think.
It'd have to be her, because she's the one who threw it. You have to remember, the husband was just existing. She assumed something and started throwing things at him.
Come along now. Chop chop. Do your worst.
Well, Mr. Naruto, if I had evidence like that, believe me, I would have thrown it at her already.
Then tackle this. Then take the stand, juror. Oh. The prosecution does not object to the defense's request to cross-examine this woman.
Thank you, Lord Van Zeeks.
I'm going to have to testify?
Juror number 4, as I'm sure you will appreciate having observed it with your own eyes today. Witness testimony can lead to the most extraordinary truths being unearthed. Alright, we're gonna end it right there. Knows his rights and wrongs. Well, yeah. He didn't think this crime scene was removed, and now that this is the case, he wants the truth more than anything else. Yeah, great moment to end. And then we'll finish it next time. That's exciting. Alright. That is actually really exciting. Tomorrow is going to be... that's the wrong thing. I want the other thing. Yep. Tomorrow is Zenless Zone 0 tomorrow. Yeah, no problem. Alright. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Bye.